And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
If you cannot speak and talk about the history of who they are, then they will not really carry your story. They will not understand their story. So today, the first thing I was the greatest revelation I was telling you a while back, is that most people trying to reach, and I'm going to specifically talk today, and next week will be Spanish, the following week the Asian, etc. But I'm going to talk specifically today about the black culture. And I wanted to right now, I know, and how many would agree that I am not black? Can I get a witness, everybody? Amen. Praise God. Praise God. Pretty white to me. Can I get an amen up in here? Yeah. Praise God. Amen. So here's the deal. But what I want to share with you is I want to talk to you about is that, you know, we went across the country and we found out there's certain things that help reach that culture and reach it effectively. And there's certain things that don't make it happen. Okay. And today I would like to talk about those things that do reach the culture, specifically the men of the culture. And the first thing I found out is this. I found out that they do not know their history. That's one of the things that I know. And so you have to tell them their history. So today I'm going to attempt to do that.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
Look on the outside edge of the pews. Look on the outside edge of the pews where you are. You see the different markings alongside the edge of the pews? They represent the different tribes that made up our congregation back then and spoke over 6 different languages among themselves. These were small tribes enslaved by larger tribes and sold to Europeans as they came along the African coast. One of the major languages they spoke back then was that of Aramaic and also 2 of Hebrew, which means the writings read from bottom to top. Assalamu alaikum. Which means, peace be unto you. It's not a Muslim term. It's actually the same greeting which Christ gave into the disciples when he met them in that region. Most countries in that region read from right to left. Here in America, we read from left to right. That's why the pastors in the St. John's window up front here are going in numbers 2 through 7 from the right-hand side over to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left.
This is First African Baptist Church, the oldest black church in North America. The building built by slaves. The gentleman that laid the first brick laid the last. The balcony hold pews that actually were built by slaves. They have the oldest information in this building. That information is written in cursive Hebrew writing.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
Here's a chart that summarizes file class and length. And you can see across the top the three classes, A, E, and U, and then down the side the four lengths, long, medium, short, and very short. So let's just go over this chart. We'll start with the A class vowels. The long vowel is cholam vav, and you'll recall that this says O as in snow. Now you might wonder why an O vowel is in the A class, and this is because of historical considerations. Originally there was no O sound in Hebrew.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
The true Jews of Israel are your black ancestors, are your black ancestors, are your black ancestors. The true Jews of Israel are your black ancestors. You think you and Kyle make TikToks together? Kyle only cares about money. Think about it. Are you really making TikToks together, or is Kyle profiting off of you? It's just like the lost tribes of Israel. It's just like the lost tribes of Israel.
I was noticing that you're kind of hanging out a lot with Kyle lately. Is there a problem with that? No, I think it's amazing. It's awesome that someone like you could be okay with someone like him, given all the new information lately. You know, the stuff that's come out about how the Jews stole the black race's identity? That the lost tribes of Judah were actually all Africans? You didn't hear about this? Black people are actually the Jews and people like Kyle have taken that from them? Stop talking to me. When the Jews came to America to escape persecution in World War II, they found that blacks were already the underclass in America. So they had to invent a story for themselves which they could make everyone believe because Kyle runs Hollywood.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Hope all is well with you guys. Hope all is well with you guys. I know I'm doing a unscheduled live here tonight, but I wanted to go here in terms of answer this question because I get a lot of emails, and I know many of you guys have asked this question as well: is what name should we use? What is correct Hebrew? You know, because in the church they are in uniform. They are in sync when it comes to, let's just say, the name Jesus, right? They are in sync when they use God, even though they don't use a name for the Father. They use that generic term God. But when you think about what you hear within this awakening, you'll hear Yahweh, you'll hear Yahuwah, you'll hear Yahweh, you'll hear Yoah. You know, it's a number of different names that you hear. And I'm sure that some of you guys asked the question, what is the correct pronunciation? Now, I want to make this clear. I am not here to try to, throw shade on anyone, any particular group, any particular person. You know, my intent of this teaching here is to strictly deal with text, to deal with facts, deal with historical sources, to really answer this question. Now, Am I going to disregard someone that says, hey, if you use Yahweh, or if you use Yahuwah, if you use whatever uh, different name that's um, different from what I use based upon historical facts, then don't associate with me. I'm not going to associate with you, because you do have some brothers and sisters within this awakening that have taken that approach. That if you're not saying the name according to what they feel like you should say, they disassociate with you. Again, some would say Ahaya. And we're going to break this up into two parts, because this is a presentation that I've taught a few times, but I'm really going to take my time for some of the babes that are making that transition into this awakening. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade on anyone. What I have what I've done over the years since having this platform is teach the basics, teach the facts, and encourage you guys to think. Let's get out of that spirit of, you know, being fed, hand fed or spoon fed every everything. And that's part of the problem that, and I believe a lot of it is contributed to the suppression that we had to deal with uh, in terms of slavery. We were hacked to be dependent on the oppressors. So that means we had to depend on the oppressors for our language, even to understand our heritage that is really ours, the scriptures that they hacked up after a few generations. Guess what? Our many of our ancestors forgot their heritage. So we had to depend on the oppressors for everything, from what does love mean? What does forgiveness mean? What does redemption mean? All coming from the very people that have placed us in this position that we're in, that carried out so many hateful crimes against us. Even just reading an article earlier today, how the three survivors of the Tulsa situation, the Tulsa massacre, were denied reparations. And they are, one of them are like 105. They over 100, all three of them. They were denied with all kinds of excuses that was given. So we're dealing with a lot as a people. We're dealing with a lot as a people. No matter what we do, uh, we are continuously around this world. We are at the lower end of the totem pole. And I know for sure that the Most High is going to come back. He's going to take care of it. Don't be discouraged, family. But in a nutshell, I just wanted to uh, take the time out tonight and get this teaching going, just to give you something to go off of. I'm going to give you sources. Now, some of you guys may ask the question, well, have you talked to some of our brothers and sisters offline? Absolutely. And many of them choose to use what they choose to use. I've talked with them offline, many offline. I've actually taught, given the sources, many of the sources you guys are going to see tonight. But many still choose, and even stated that they're just going to stick to what they're comfortable with. And that's the same thing we see in the church. Some would just say, hey, I'm just going to continue to say Jesus. I even had people say, I'm going to keep saying God instead of saying Yah, the short form, Yah. So with that being said, I don't want to prolong the lesson here. I'll just give a quick shout out, because I know this is a last minute, untimely live, so unscheduled live. So I want to just give some quick shout outs, and we'll get into the lesson. So I'm going to start off by giving a shout outs to Bethaya Yah Batya Israel. I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom to you as well. All right. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Not sunset in California. I understand. Hallelujah. I want to say peace and blessings to Brother Enoch. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Don P. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Felicia, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Alexandria, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you. Sister L, want to say shalom to you. And want to say peace and blessings to cut cut the crap, right? Want to say peace and blessings to you. All right. Sharo Moses, want to say shalom to you. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Forgive me if I didn't. Lakeisha Williams, shalom to you. Ernest, I want to say shout outs to Ernest. Peace and blessings to you, my brother. Thank you for the love and support. I want to say shalom to you as well. Let's see who else we have here. Yaakov, I want to say shalom to you as well. Who else do we have here? Tanara Yah, Kiyumba Yisrael, want to say shalom to you as well. All right. Let's see here. Let's get a few more in here. Ebony J, want to say shalom to you. Let's see here. Jerry Carroll, want to say Shabbat shalom to you. Bas Reeves, want to say Shabbat shalom to you or shalom to you as well. Mr. The Original, want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Linwood Collins, want to say peace and blessings to you. I want to say shalom to you as well. Kay Singleton, I think they already dropped off, but want to say shalom to you. If you can, when you play the replay, you'll hear the shout outs in the replay. Uh, let's see here. Jerry Carroll, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Amiyah, I want to say shalom to you. Stacy Pullum, I want to say shalom to you. Joy, I want to say shalom to you. Let's see here. Maria Fox, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Uh, let's see here. Tangi Ya, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Shalom to you. Let's see here. Lachelle Patterson, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Let's see a few more here. Just going through this list here. I know some starting to jump in here. And let's see. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Keith Dixon, want to say shalom to you. Ak, uh, Kendra, want to say peace and blessings to you as well. And we'll get a couple more in. Angel, want to say shalom to you as well. Cindy Lou, want to say peace and blessings to you. James Thompson, want to say shalom to you. Jackson Shana, peace and blessings to you. Truth matters, absolutely. Like that handle. Truth matters. That's right, absolutely. It's like the truth has become the new hate speech, so to speak. So I want to say shalom to you. And lastly, Bobby Garvins, peace and blessings to you. And for those that are joining in, actually, I see my sister jump in. So let me just say shout outs to Dr. Newell. I want to say peace and blessings to her and family. If you haven't heard of her or not familiar with her, look her up on Facebook. She's down in the North Carolina area, has a ministry down there, has a college that she founded 10 years ago, doing a lot for the community. So I want to say peace and blessings to my sister here. Show her some love. Let's see here. Uh, Shireen Shireen, advance your life. I want to say shalom to you. Let's see here. The Heathen Report. Shalom to you. Interesting. The Heathen Report. Joe Scott. I want to also say shalom to you. All right, family. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Black Jack. I was almost on time. I want to say shout outs to you, Black Jack. Really appreciate the love and support. All right, family. So again, show some love to my sister, Dr. Newell family. But we're going to go ahead and get into it, family, because I'm sure all of you guys have asked this question, especially with you coming in to this awakening as babes, and you began to get it introduced to some of the different groups that are within this awakening. You know, you hear someone saying Yahweh Shai, you hear someone saying Yeshua, you hear someone say Yahashua, you hear someone saying Yahweh, someone saying Yahuwah, someone saying Yahweh. But the question is, what is the name, right? What is the name? What name should we use? And I'm sure you guys understand this here and had these questions. What name should we use? Which is the correct name, right? And is it a deal breaker as we continue to walk this out? You know, as we continue to navigate through a number of the delusions that we were subjected to. So, what is the name? So, these are some of the things that we're going to deal with tonight. All right. So, let's go ahead and get into it, family. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, is the Most High going to give Israel a new language? Right? Because that's one of the things that you hear many when they teach in Zephaniah chapter 3. They'll teach that text as if the Most High is going to give Israel a new language. So is that what the text is actually saying? That the Most High is going to give Israel a new language. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a poll out here, and I'll let you guys vote on whether or not if the Most High is going to give Israel a new name. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me get to. Oh man, I didn't know my cousin is doing dropping some stuff. All right, I'm just looking here. But anyway, let me go ahead and uh, drop this in real quick. Let me do this poll so that way you guys can vote. All right, it's taking a little time to populate. There we go. All right, let me put this poll into the chat. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. Is the Most High going to give Israel a new? All right. All right. So I'm adding this poll into the chat. All right. So that's the question. Is the Most High going to give Israel a new language? Is he going to give Israel a new language? And is that what Zephaniah chapter 3, is that what it's referring to? Is that chapter and those set aside passages, I'm going to cover it briefly here. Uh, is that what it means? Is that what the passages are saying, that the Most High is going to give Israel a new language? So, and we'll look at we'll monitor the uh, the poll here. Let me see so far what we have here right now. So far, 27 has voted. So far, almost 70%. We're at 67% right now is saying yes, while 36% are saying no. So, but we're going to get it in, family. We're gonna give proper clarity to the text. All right. So hit that vote. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the like and subscribe to the channel. And also, I see right now we had about 150 people in the chat. So right now we're sitting at 56 likes. Let's get those likes up to 100 likes. Okay. Let's get it up to 100 likes because it does wonders with the algorithms. And I'm still trying to get out of this what they call it shadow ban, because I've been shadow banned, been dealing with a lot of things when it comes to YouTube. All right. So is the Most High going to give Israel a new language? Right? Is the Most High going to give the Messiah a new language? I mean, not a new language, but a new name. And it's important for us to understand these questions, right? And it's important for us to understand the Hebrew school of thought when we see the word new and some of the other words that we see, because we've been so indoctrinated with the theologies of our oppressors of how to approach the text. Many of us still approaching the text based upon the spirit of the slave owners, of how they force their interpretation, their interpolations of the text on us. So is the Most High going to give the Messiah a new name? All right. So let's start with Genesis chapter 10, verse 21, right? Because I want to deal with heritage real quick. And then we'll get into some additional items that I want to highlight tonight. But let's start here because I know all you guys have heard this before, one way or another, that heritage doesn't matter, identity doesn't matter, long as you believe in Christ, you know, or doesn't matter what color Christ is, because long as the color of his blood was red, even though they didn't have a problem with a Caucasian image of him, they didn't have a problem with that. But as soon as you prove to them that the Messiah looks like you and I, have our dark melanated skin, then all of a sudden you hear those things. All right. So uh, let's start here. Genesis chapter 10, verse 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were the children born. All right. When we go to Genesis chapter 10, verse 31, these are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, and their lands, after their nations. All right. So make a note of that. The sons of Shem, their families, their tongues, in their lands, and after their nations. Let me go back and let me make sure I got everything here. I want to make sure here. All right, yeah. All right. Right now I'm just focusing on Shem. I want to make sure I didn't have some the wrong passage here. But we see here the sons of Shem. And these key words I want you to make a note of is families, tongues, land, after their nations. And you'll hear this echoed for repeated for Japheth, Ham as well. So each son had their own families, their own people, their own language, and their own territory. All right. These are this is what we call heritage. And we're going to define what heritage is. But it says here after their nations. So what does family, tongues, and land represents? I gave you the answer. They represent nation, right? And here's the Oxford Dictionary definition of the word nation. It says here, large body of people united by common descent, right? Remember, people or family, history, culture, or language, right? Land, family, and tongues, as we just highlighted. So we highlighted families, we highlighted language, and then it says inhabiting a particular country or territory. So you see it. The first portion of this, you see families, you see language or tongues, they're synonymous. Then you see inhabiting a particular country or territory. So land. So the three pillars that defines a nation is, as we see here, the people, right? Common language, and living in a particular country or territory. That's what nation means. But here's the definition for heritage. This still ties in together. Let's see what heritage means. And notice what heritage says here. It says valued objects. And we're highlighting 1.1, right? Because you have one here, but then you have a sub entry, and I didn't have it in the screen print. But I really want to hone in on the sub entry for one. So 1.1, the sub entry says valued objects. It takes it a step further. Valued objects and qualities such as cultural tradition, unspoiled countryside, historic buildings that have been passed down from previous generations. But the key is valued objects and qualities such as cultural traditions, territory, when we see unspoiled countryside. So heritage is valued objects. Let me say that again. Heritage is valued objects. I'll say it one more time. Heritage is valued objects. So what are these valued objects? Families, tongues, land, the covenant, which is the 10 commandments, the Messiah, right? That is part of our heritage, our Messiah. Of course, Torah. When I say Torah, we're dealing with the law, the prophets, and the testimonies of the disciples. All of that together, the letters of Paul, all of that is still part of our heritage. So family, tongues, land, the covenant, which is the 10 commandments, the Messiah, that's specifically for who? Right? Israel, the Israelite Messiah, and the law and the prophets, along with the testimonies of the disciples, Torah, the instructions of the Most High. So the valued objects we are going to focus on today or tonight is language. We're going to focus on language. So let's highlight a couple of key words as we build this lesson up here. Resurrection. What is the meaning of resurrection? So let's start with the Greek definition of resurrection. And I'm going somewhere with this, right? You see, it says a standing up, recovery, raised to life again, rising again. All right. So we see the Greek word here, anastasi, right? It means, again, a standing up, recovery, raised to life again, rising up. So that's what it means in Greek for us in terms of resurrection. So resurrection, anastasi, means standing up again, recovery, raised to life again. Okay. So when we look at the same word in Hebrew, the Hebrew word is chaya. And when we go to chaya, it says to revive, give life, give promise life, recover, repair, restore, in other words, to life, revive, be whole. That's the key, family. Be whole. When the Messiah said to some of the people that he healed, your faith has made you what? Whole. Your consistency has made you whole. In other words, healed in every aspect of your life. That word is chaya. So when you think of resurrection from a Hebraic perspective, chaya, that's the Hebrew word. Be whole. Chaya. All right. So resurrection means to restore to life. It means to revive. Okay. So the key understanding of resurrection, right? We have to go to restore to really understand resurrection, right? When we go to restore, it says renewing of something lost. And then it goes on and tells us to say, to go to this word restore. All right. So restoration means renewing something that is lost. Let me say that again. Restoration means renewing something lost. But now when we go to restore, the etymology dictionary definition of restore, it says restore, to build up again, repair, rebuild, right? Renew. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound like the Hebrew word kadash? You have quadash, which means holy. You have kadash that transliterates to the word, as you see here, the words here, repair, rebuild, renew. This should give you a whole different understanding when you're reading the scriptures and you see new covenant, right? In the ancient Hebrew, you will see the word ka, uh, uh, kadash, right? Which means, as I pointed out, I wanted to bring the definition up, to make anew. So this should tell you that the Most High is not giving us a completely new covenant. No, he's restoring his covenant to the generations of Abraham's seed. Because if we say he's giving a brand new covenant, then that means he completely broke his promise with Abraham. And that's not what the Most High was saying here. So this is why you hear many say renewed covenant. Many educators, theologians would say renewed covenant. You'll see some scriptures, some translations, Bible translations, you'll see renewed covenant. All right. But anyway, so restore, to build up again, repair, right? Repair, rebuild, renew, make or be firm. So write this definition down: repair, rebuild, renew. Write that definition down because we're going to revisit this. So restore means to build up again, repair, rebuild, renew. Okay. So now we have to go to this word forming element, re. Well, what does re mean? Well, glad you guys asked. It says back to the original place, again, anew, once more. And it says also with a sense of undoing. In other words, getting back to the original place, again, anew, once more. By what? Undoing. If we want to be restored, we have to let go of those things that got us into the situation that we're in right now. If you want to be repaired, you have to let go of the damages, right? Right. So that's what re, this word forming element, re, again, anew, once more. also with the sense of what? Undoing. So re means getting back to the original place, undoing. All right. So is the Most High going to give Israel a new language? That's the question that I ask. Is the Most High going to give Israel a new language? So let's go ahead and see where we are with the poll here. Right now, uh, we have 70 people that participated in it. 59% says yes, 41% says no. And want to encourage you guys, those that's jumping in right now, hit that like and subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit that notification. I know YouTube, and I recorded it, they have a tendency of uh, canceling out that notification, unselecting it, right? But anyway, uh, let's get the likes up. Let's get over 100 likes. Since we have almost 200 people in the chat right now. Okay. So is the Most High going to give Israel a new language? Right. Now let's deal with this word renew. Right. Let's deal with the Hebrew word new, the Hebrew word that transliterates to renew, the Hebrew word that transliterates to the word new. And this is what I pointed out. Kadash. Right. Notice what it says: to be new, to rebuild, renew, repair. Doesn't it sound just like the definition that we just gave for restore? And going to the word forming element, the prefix re, to be new is simply means to make anew. Right? When we look at the moon, right? The Hebrew word that you'll see there, right, for new moon, you're going to see this word Kadash, right? Because we know that the moon is not being created every month. It's being what? Renewed. It's being what? Refreshed. So we have to, when we really going into the text, especially when we're reading the testimonies of the disciples or the letters of Paul, we have to make sure that we go to the Hebrew to really get proper clarity of what the text is saying. Okay. So now let's go to Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9. Let's answer this question here. Let's answer this question. All right. Let's see what it says here. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9. And we're going to answer the question that I asked you guys. Notice what it says. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one consent. And let me do a couple of highlights real quick to this particular passage. I thought I had the highlights here, so let me go and highlight it real quick so I can focus on to some key areas with this text here. Let me do it real quick, and I'll explain this portion of the passage real quick. All right, let's see here. All right, let's see here. Here, real quick, a couple of things here. All right, why is it? Where is it? Where is it? If not, I won't worry about it if it won't let me do it. There we go. Let me see here. Let me just go ahead and update this real quick. All right. Zephaniah. Let's see, was it Zephaniah 3:10? Oh, no, that was 3 and 9. Let me put 9 up here. All right, let's put 9 up here. There we go. All right, there we go. I just want to change it up here. And let's see if that changed here. All right, that's better. Let's highlight verse 9. It says, for then will I turn to the people a pure barwar language, shapah, that they may all call upon the name Hasham of Yahweh to serve him with one akad consent, shakam. So let's explore some of these words here. Then will I turn to the people a pure language. Because so far, just reading it here, reading this passage, there's nothing here that says the Most High is going to give us a new language. He says, then will I turn to the people a pure language. So when we look up the Hebrew word pure, notice what we see here. It says to clarify, examine, make bright. Here's the kicker: cleanse. In other words, be clean, polished, purge out, right? So the proper understanding of this text, the Most High is going to clean up our language. He is not going to give us a new language. He's going to clean up our language. And part of cleaning up our language is going to start with cleaning up our heart, because he could give us a new language. But if your heart is still foul, if your heart is still corrupt, if you have not stored his commandments in your inner parts with it, which is your heart, the circumcision of your heart, then you're going to continue to pervert, profane the language. It's not going to matter what language you give you. And we see right now, we're living in the day right now. We see the Most High now is what? He's waking his people up. He is getting us back to the original language. We see this before our eyes. Some of you guys never even thought about Hebrew. Now look at what you're doing now. Look at what you're doing now. Even though we may see some different variations of the pronunciations and so forth, but we still see a collective effort of getting back to what? The original. Just what we see here, starting with what? Honoring his laws, statutes, and commandments. All right. So barar means to clarify, in other words, brighten, examine, make bright. But the key is cleanse, in other words, be clean, polished, purge, in other words, purge out. So Yahweh is going to war, in other words, clean and purge out the language of his chosen people, the Israelites. So now let's look at this word language in this text. And it's pretty simple. You guys already know what it is, but let's just examine it real quick. Shapa. Let's go to the definition. It's pretty straightforward. All right. And this is the area that we're highlighting, right? We see here language here by implication, language. But then when we go down here, language, lip, speech. Okay. So this means Israel's speech and heart will be purged, right? Purge from all the sins, purge from all the confusion, purge from all the like the Most High made it clear, even when we read the book of book of Jeremiah, that Israel began to every thought of the Israelites began to be what? Corrupt, began to be evil continuously. Whatever they said, whatever came out of their mouth, whatever was in their heart, they uh they executed. So this means Israel's speech and heart will be purged, and all of Israel will speak one language. He's going to cleanse the language, not give a new language. All right. So let's go to this prophecy here, Revelation chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. And I want to make this clear. I'm just focusing on the prophecy. I'm not dealing with anything outside of this here. All right. It says here, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise out of the sea, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon his horns, 10 crowns, and upon his head, the name of blasphemy, Hasham, right? The name Hasham, not meaning, meaning pointing to the Most High name, but the reputation of blasphemy. So, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. His feet were as the feet of a bear, his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So upon his heads, the name blasphemy. And as I stated here, name, Sham, it means here, it could be a literal name. That's why it says mark or memorial of individuality, but also honor, authority, character. In other words, the character of one that's bearing the name, right? The authority of the one that's bearing the name. It says fame, infamous, renown, report. And when you look down at the bottom of your screen here, you also see the word glory, right? It's synonymous with the word glory as well, kabod. Okay. So, name Sean means a distinct literal title, honor, authority, character, fame, reputation. So, getting back to this beast. So, this beast is going to have the reputation of what? Profane, blasphemy, right? Na'atazah or na'at, it says to scorn, contemn, despise, provoke, right? So blasphemy means to scorn, despise, profane when speaking of Yah or the things he deemed to be sacred. So when we go to verse 2, just break it down. It says, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, his feet as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion." And let me make this clear, because when you start getting into eschatology, right? Eschatology, guess what? There's different uh, approaches to the prophecy. There's different form of different eschatologies that are out there that's breaking down these scriptures. Because you have some that think that there's only one eschatology of the for as angle of eschatology of the text. You have Christian eschatology. You have um, Catholic eschatology. You have, the Jewish community, as we know, eschatology. You have Islam eschatology, right? So dealing with what? The end. So I want to make that clear. So I understand the different approaches, the different doctrines of eschatology and with the different groups out here, but I'm not getting into all of that, family. So I understand some of the arguments that are out here. So for right now, what we're dealing with, this prophecy here, this prophecy, right? We see here it says, "The beast which I saw was like unto a leopard." Guess what, family? That's Germany, right? We're not dealing with the Persians. The Persians have already been wiped out. We're not dealing with the Persians. His feet were as the feet of a bear, right? And his mouth as the mouth of a lion. So we're not dealing with the Persians. We're not dealing with the Assyrians. We're not dealing with Babylon. All those kingdoms has already been destroyed. We're dealing with Revelation. This is a prophecy that's beyond those territories, right? So the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. Leopard, Germany. Look it up. Look up their national symbol. Look at their flag. You'll see the leopard. The feet of a bear. We know that's Russia. And his mouth as a mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and seat and great authority. So his mouth as the mouth of a lion. So the symbol of the United Kingdom is the lion, right? You see it here. I'm not going to read all of this, but you see here the national animal, a lion, the lion. So when we go to the prophecies of Daniel chapter 7, verse 4, it says the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So now we're using Daniel chapter 7, verse 4. Really, you could verse 4 through 8, you can actually explain the beast that's in Revelation. So the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So when you read this text, think of Great Britain. We're not just dealing with the Babylonians. We beyond that, family. We're dealing with the prophecies of today. So the first was like a lion. So think of Great Britain, had eagle's wings. This is the United States, right? The Revolutionary War, right? Where it says, "I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked." Revolutionary War, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, Uncle Sam, and a man's heart was given to it. So, like a lion had eagle's wings, till the wings were plucked, made to stand upon the feet as a man. So, the birth of the United States, you could easily equate this prophecy to the birth of the United States out of who? Great Britain, which is the mother of the United States. So the primary language of Great Britain is the English language. And that's why I wanted to highlight that portion when we see the lips. When we deal with the lips, it said the lips of a lion. Didn't use the whole entire lion. So what is the language of Great Britain? English. What is the language? What is the trade language around the world? English. All right. English is the trade language. All right. So when we go to back to Revelations chapter 13, verse 7, I want to highlight a couple more things. It says here, and it was given unto him to make war with the holy people of Yah. I'm not just going to say saints because I know the origins of that word. That word is a word that was that points to the those that was deemed to be saints from the Catholic Church after they died. No, that's not, this is not dealing with the Catholic Church. We're pointing to the holy people of Yah, the Israelites. And it was given unto him to make war with the holy people of Yah, which is the Israelites, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, right? Shabbat and tongues, Lashon and nations, just what we just covered, right? So they had power over all of all the tribes, the nation of Israel, the language. That's what this is telling us right here. The prophecy is right here telling you how they're going to have power over our language. So power was given him over all kindreds and tongues. So land, family, and tongues. So the serpent, Nakash, gave this beast power over all kindreds and tongues. So how important is it for Israel to speak our native language? How important is it? Well, let me go to Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 23 through 24. In those days, I saw Judah that had married wives of Ashad, Ammon, and of Moab, and their children spake half in speech of Ashad and could not speak in the language of in the language of Judah, the Judeans. They could not speak in Judah's native language, which was Hebrew, but according to the language of each people. So the children could not speak Hebrew, they could not speak their native tongue. So Nehemiah needed a translator. See, that's the key, family. When we start mixing and meshing with other communities, what's going to be lost? Our culture, because most cases we tend to absorb or mesh with the culture of our spouse, right? Just drinking me some water here. So the children could not speak Hebrew, their native tongue. Right. So this meant that the children of Israel would not be able to read and understand the law, statutes, and commandments. Unless the situation could be corrected, the compromise of mixed marriages would only grow. And we see that that spirit of Babal, right? Babylon, Babal is running rampant. It's pushing mixed marriages. In other words, us mixing with our oppressor. That's the key. The mixing with our oppressors. And we see that on television. Every time you turn around, you see mixing with the very sons and daughters that have, enslaved us. So eventually a whole generation of children would not speak Hebrew, which meant that they would be ignorant of Yahweh's word and the laws that were to govern Israel. Judah began to marry daughters of the Confederate who made a promise to destroy them. See, that's the key, family, because Moses married a woman of Ethiopia descent. They all were dark melanated people, but the key is her culture was different. That's why Miriam and Aharon questioned that. It wasn't about skin complexion like you'll hear that is taught today. It was all about culture. And Moses married someone of another culture. So the Most High didn't have an issue with that, right? He didn't marry the daughter of the very people that oppressed the Israelites at that time. So Judah began to marry the daughters of the Confederate who made a promise to destroy us. So when you go to the 83rd book of Psalms, verse 1 through 3, because we'll see this, some of the people that's here that Nehemiah highlighted. But notice what it says here. I keep not thou silence, O Elohim, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Elohim, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult. In other words, a Hamah, right? War cry, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy little ones. So when we see the Hebrew word tumult, I just gave you the answer, right? Hama, it means to make a loud sound, to be in great commotion, to rage war. In other words, war cry. That's what it means. Hama means war cry. And when we go to the Webster Dictionary, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary says here, a cry used by a body of fighters in war, a slogan used especially to rally people to a cause. And we see that playing out today. But when we go down to verse 4 through 7, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. We are the hidden ones, family. Verse 4, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name Hashem of Israel, Yashara'al, means not just the literal name, but the reputation that's associated with it, with the name, right, may be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, Barayat, and the Israeli Barit, the tabernacle of Edom. Notice these names here. These are the very people you saw in the book of Nehemiah. You see the tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of you see of Moab, the Hagarines, right? You see Gabel, but notice you see Ammon. Ammon was listed there under one of the peoples that Judah decided to marry. You see Amalek, you see Tyre, right? So again, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. All right. So I didn't put all the scriptures here. Let me see if it's in the backdrop here. Some of the names. Let me see here. It's not all up in here. My apologies, family. I thought I had it all up here. You'll see the rest of the names here, but you see Moab, you see Ammon, you'll see the very names here of the people that Israel decided to marry. In other words, Judah began to, in a nutshell, that term, sleep with the enemy. Right? That's what it means here. Sleeping with the enemy, sleeping with the oppressor, right? That's basically what Judah decided to do. So I want to be clear on that. Okay. So now let's go into what they've done to our language, the system of interpolation. Now let's deal with interpolation. These are two systems here, the Nakud and also the Matres Lectionis. These are two systems. The Nakud, right? You're dealing with vowel letters like points and all of that. That didn't exist in ancient Hebrew. Then you also have the Matres Lectionis, vowel letters. That did not exist in ancient Hebrew. The vowel letters is an interpolation of the Greeks. Family, that's a fact. And unfortunately, many of us can't let go of this information I'm going to share with you. They don't want to let go the interpolation of the language. They want to keep these modifications. They want to keep endorsing it, right? But notice what you see here. Interpolation. Let's see what it means here. Interpolate, it says, insert something of a different nature into something else. Let me say that again. Insert, in other words, something of a different nature into something else. In the sub-entry 1.1, it says insert, in other words, words in a book or other text, especially in order to give a false impression as to its date. Are we not seeing this right now? So they inserted words and descriptors of a different nature to form a completely new doctrine, like language. Like language. Many think that they're learning Hebrew. They're not learning Hebrew. They're learning an Israeli language. That's not ancient Hebrew. They're learning a language that is called Yiddish, right? And Yiddish is not the same in every territory. It's like a slang language, but you'll see that in Hungarian has a form of the Yiddish. Romania has a form of Yiddish. Ukraine has a form of Yiddish. But then they sprinkled some Hebrew and other words and made up words along the way. Look it up. When you start studying about Eliezer ben Yehuda, right? A school teacher who created a language back in 1855. So began to create it, right? But anyway, so let's go and deal with the Nakud and the Masoretic points. Let's deal with this. Let's start with this source here. And family, I'm going to put this inside the chat. I'm going to put these sources inside the chat. And guess what, family? You could download some of these sources for free if it's still available, but you could download some of these sources for free. And I encourage you, vet the sources that I give. Don't just take my word at it. Vet the sources that I give. I stand firmly on what I'm getting ready to present to you. And I can guarantee you, you're not going to get this from most of our brothers and sisters, right? You're not going to get this in-depth information that I want to share with you, right? Let me see here. Let me see if I can. Sometimes this thing can get on my nerves, man, dealing with StreamYard. But I'm going to copy this over into the chat. All right, family, let me copy this over to the chat. This is a source that you could go to and you could confirm what I'm saying if it's true. Here it is. It's in the chat. All right, there it is. So let's go to this source here, right? The Theosophical Glossary by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, 1892, page 208. Let's go here. Let's see what it says here about the Masoretic points, right? It makes it clear. And this is what I'm reading here that's in this area here, even though we got this these words over it, right? But this is what I'm reading right here, right? This is what I am reading. Okay. So Masoretic points or vowels. All right. But let's go to the key here. It says the rabbins who busied themselves with the Masorah, hence called Masoretes, who also, were also the inventors of the Masoretic points, which are supposed to give the vowelless words of the scriptures their true pronunciation. See, family, this is where we get into danger. What do you see here? Ancient Hebrew was written without any vowels. So how do you get Yahuwah? How do you make the Wah into a vowel sound of a O and actually making it into a diphthong, combining two vowels to form a sound? Every scholar will tell you that the vowels were not written. But we're going to give some additional sources. But it says here, Masoretes were also the inventors of the Masoretic points, which are supposed to give the vowelless words of the scriptures their true pronunciations by the addition of points representing vowels to the consonants. This was the invention of the learned and cunning rabbins of the school of Tiberius, which is in the 9th century of our era. The 9th century, which is still what? That's the Middle Ages. That's not the Antiquities, who by doing so had put an entirely new construction on the chief words. Let me say that again. They have put an entirely new construction on chief words. In other words, key words. What are some of those key words? The Most High's name, the Father's name, the Son's name, the name of Israel, the name of the tribes, just like the spirit of the Babylonians. Because what did they do when they enslaved? They cherry picked Israelites, including Daniel, right, and brought them into Babylon. And what did they do? They changed their names, took Yah's name from among their names, and made it point to their deities. Come on, family, that's history. That's history. That is history. That is historical. All right. That is historical. Family, don't forget to hit that like button. We had 123 likes, right? So let's get it up to 150 likes over the next 20 minutes. All right. And I appreciate everyone for the poll. We had over 100 votes. 58% said that the Most High was going to give Israel a new language. 42% said no. And we actually answered this question. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. Appreciate the participation, family. Really appreciate you guys for doing so. All right, but let's continue here. right? It says, have put an entirely new construction on the chief words and names in the books, right? So again, this was the invention of the learned and cunning, the crafty, that's what this is saying, the crafty rabbins of the school of Tiberius. But notice it says in the ninth century of our era. But it goes on to say, uh, the books of Moses, and made thereby confusion still more confounded. So they inserted more confusion with these pronunciations. That's what this is saying here. The truth is that this scheme had only added additional blinds to those already existing in the Pentateuch and other works. And what it's saying is, we're still dealing with a lot of confusion because the church teach we're not under the law. We don't have to abide by the law, statutes, and commandments. So that's confusing, just that in itself. But then they added, as you see here, the scheme has only added additional blinds to those already existing. So the ancient Hebrew, right, and the Hebrew spoken by the Messiah did not have vowel points, and they were added to the text, the Hebrew text. They did not have vowel points. They were not using vowel letters. I'm going to introduce you to another source, family. Let me see how long we've been going. All right, we've been going a little more than an hour. We're making good time. All right. I want to introduce you to another source. Some of you guys are familiar with this. Proof of interpolation. The vowel letters and the text of the Hebrew Bible. 1857 by Charles William Wall, right? A linguist, right? A scholar of his time. But notice what he says here. But the case is widely different in, it says, with regard to the further disclosures made in the following essay, namely, that the Hebrew Bible, as it issued from the pens of its inspired authors, was written without vowel signs of any kind, whether points or letters. Come on, family. We can't get around it. The source just said and made it clear that the ancient Hebrew did not have any vowel points, nor did it have vowel letters. Let me say that again. Let me see here. Someone said the link didn't drop. I didn't. I'm not sure what link. I just posted. I think I just posted the source, the initial source. Let me post it again, and let me post this source here as well that I'm making reference to. All right. Let me put this inside the chat here, family. Let me see here. All right. Let me put the source here. All right. I encourage you guys to purchase this source. I believe you can also download it for free, truth be told. All right. All right. Not sure what's going on with the chat, but here it is. All right. So I'm giving you sources, family. I am giving you sources. If you choose to continue to do whatever you decide to do, that's up to you. But it looks like we're having some problems with the chat. My apologies, family. I can't control that. That's YouTube. It seems as if when I teach certain subjects, we start having this type of issues. All right. So notice what it says. It says here again, right? It says here, in a nutshell, it says, but the case is widely different with regards to the further disclosure made in the following essay, namely the Hebrew Bible, as it issues from the pens of its inspired authors, was written without vowel signs of any kind, whether points or letters. So it's making it clear that where the aleph, yod, and wah, guess what? These are being used as vowel letters. All right. It goes on to say, let me read this point. It says the aleph, yod, wah are now to be seen in the pointed text useless, and in the unpointed one diverted from their primary and proper use. In other words, of the same general nature as that of all the other elements of the Hebrew alphabet to occasionally service of denoting vowels. They were constitute, notice what it says here, they there constitute no part of the original writing, but were interpolated. So these things were inserted. There was no vowel letters, there was no vowel points. And it not long after, right? So when we continue here, notice what it says here. In the first place, then about 2 centuries after the termination of the Babylonian captivity, and while a considerable number of persons still continue to speak pure Hebrew as their vernacular dialect, Asia was invaded by a people who had introduced into the original alphabet the vast improvement of vowel letters. How did they improve it? Notice it says they interpolated the language, vowel letters. And the Israelites in Judah were, in consequence, forced, in spite of their prejudices, to learn a species of writing that made them acquainted with the use of such letters. Right? It goes on to say here, in the second place, their scriptures were very soon afterwards translated into the tongue connected with this writing by the order, as tradition tells us, of a pagan government. In other words, now we're getting into the Greeks. So if someone tell you that the Most High name was preserved in ancient Greek, they are being very, very, very either actually, I'll just say they're misleading you, because that's incorrect. That's completely incorrect. They did not retain the ancient pronunciations starting with the Most High's name. And this source is confirming it right here. I'll trust this source right here. I got the sources where some of the people are pulling some of their teachings from, of their beliefs from, which is way out of left field. But anyway, in the second place, their scriptures were very soon afterwards translated into the tongue connected with this writing by the order, as tradition tells us, of a pagan government, and at any rate in a country in which they and their religion were peculiarly hated and despised. This rendering of the Old Testament into Greek, this is where you get into the Septuagint, a language at the time understood throughout the civilized portion of the world. Right? Words have meaning. We see civilized. You know, they refer to our people as being what? Uncivilized. They refer to our language as being a primitive. In other words, from them, they looked at primitive as being a negative language, baby sounding language. So this rendering the Old Testament into what? The Greek. A language at the time understood throughout the civilized portion of the world. All right. So again, a language at the time understood throughout the civilized portion of the world. So this quote has the same overtone in the letters of the Willie Lynch letters, right? The same overtone to the, that how they viewed us, right? I know some people don't support the Willie Lynch letter. That's fine. All right. But I'm not going to go into that right there, but just giving you a little clip here. We see the word uncivilized. That's how they refer to us, as uncivilized. Okay. So, but let's go back to this book of Proof of Interpolations. It says here, this conclusion is fully confirmed by the present discovery, for although some other Asiatic nations making use of silvery may have been induced by observation of Grecian practice, Grecian Hellenized, right? Hellenized practice, right? Hellenized, embracing the language, embracing the culture, voluntarily to change them into alphabets of a superior order, though, right? As you see here, order through rather, the introduction of the irregular species. Let me make sure you understand the introduction of the irregular species of vowel letters, technically called matres lectionis. Yet the Israelites, who were peculiarly averse to holding any communication with pagans, cannot be supposed to have adopted this improvement till they were compelled, in other words, forced to learn the benefits of it by being subjected to the dominion of the Greeks. But all their extant coins exhibits either wa or yod, or yod rather, or both of these letters employed as vowel signs, and therefore each must have been stamped subsequently to the period when they came under the yoke of that people. So let's see what irregular means, right? It means not being or acting in accord, right? With laws, rules, established customs. So irregular. Going back to the source, notice what it says, but it would be going much too far in praise of the Masoretic system of vowels to assert that it has completely preserved the ancient pronunciation of Hebrew or kept it exactly the same. Come on, family. Come on, family. I'm giving you sources right here. So it's making it clear what you hear today when you hear people saying Yeshua, when you hear people say Yahuwah, when you have anything that has a O or a UA sound or a E sound, that's of the Greeks, that's of the Romans, that's also of Germanic influence. But guess what? Guess what? Some of you guys that are watching even right now, guess what? Some of you guys are going to literally take this approach.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
I know some of you guys going to still take that approach. It doesn't matter. Going to take that same approach and still call on whatever you want to call on, even after the sources that I'm sharing with you that many of our brothers and sisters that are actually teaching, they have taken the same posture. And part of it is because they don't want to give the impression or be connected or appear to be connected with some of our brothers and sisters that are in some of the camps, because some of the camps use these the ancient Hebrew. So many are purposely using Yeshua or Yahuwah or Yehashua, those pronunciations, so that way others won't look at them or view them of possibly being connected with some of those some of the groups, the camps, the One West groups. Family, regardless of the reputation of some or even most, I'm not going to stop teaching the truth. I'm going to stand firmly on what's the truth. I could care less of how other people view me, but that's what so many are doing. That's what so many are doing. Right? So someone asked the question of L. I'm going to give you the understanding of L as we progress in this lesson, because I can tell you L is not a proper pronunciation. Because you have to, in order to say, form the word is a vowel point. You're not pronouncing the actual vowel. But we'll get to that point. We'll get to the point when we start dealing with the correct yod. That's a vowel point. L is not an ancient Hebrew or Shemitic pronunciation. You don't hear them saying Allah in Arabic. They say Allah. The Aramaic is still to this day Allah Hayam. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it, family. You could choose, and I want to make it clear, K Rock D, whatever you choose to do, and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the information. Whatever you do from here, because you guys are the jury. You guys are the jury. You have to make decisions based upon your life, because when it's all said and done, I'm not going to stand before the Most High for you. I have to stand based upon what I have done and what I have failed to do. You have to stand before the Most High as well, give an account for what you do and what you choose not to do. So for me, I'm just sounding the alarm, whether the people want to take heed to the alarm or not. I'm just trying to make sure when I stand before the Father, he can truly say, well, good and faithful servant, my good and faithful servant. Well done, my good and faithful servant. So again, this lesson is not trying to tell anyone what you have to do. I'm just giving you facts. All right. But it goes on to say, right, let me read this again. But it would be going far too much. Going much too far in praise of the Masoretic systems of vowels to assert that it has completely preserved the ancient pronunciation of Hebrew or kept it exactly the same as it was from the very outset. On the contrary, external evidence, which is accessible to us on the subject, serves to show that in the course of a vast number of successive ages, some changes have taken place in this respect, but still that they are not such as in the least to affect the sense of the scripture. So what it's saying here, even though they done interpolated the language, done messed the language all up, but it's saying that at least you can still understand and translate what the scripture says. That's all what this is saying. That's all this is saying. But those words do have an effect on the translations and transliterations. Truth be told, you have to actually go to the ancient Hebrew. You have to go beyond that to really get proper translations, even understanding what's the Most High's name, or at least the letters that's written in the text. But anyway, let's go to another page here, page 19. It says, I may here by anticipation add, will be found equally to apply it says equally to apply to the matres lectionis after it shall be proved that those letters do not. In other words, when we say the letters, those vowel letters, any more than the points, in other words, the Nikud or Naquad, the matres, the Masoretic points, constitute part of the Hebrew scriptures as originally written. That's a mic drop right there. That's a mic drop right there. That is a mic drop right here. That is a mic drop right here. Now I see here, Uncle Don, I see we said, let your convictions be your guide. And I'm just going to say this, family. No, we have to let the Holy Spirit lead you, because many cases we could be numb in our convictions. Truth be told, when we want something to be a certain way, we're not convicted at all. So we have to make sure that the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of Yah, is our guide. Because I'm going to tell you, I had to do a lot of unlearning to learn. Come on. I started out learning what they call Hebrew today, which is not actually ancient Hebrew, and was teaching our assembly. So I had to repent. So I'm front row seat. I had to repent. But anyway, let's go back into it. All right. So let's go to biblicalhebrew.org and let's see what they say about the matres lectionis. Right. This is another source here, family. I'm going to drop this link in the comment section. Right. I'm going to drop this link in the comment section. You can validate everything that I'm pointing out. Right. You can validate, you can confirm everything that I am showing you right now. So let's see here. Some of these sites, they taking it down. Some of these old sites, you can still find most of these. All right. So I would say, some of you guys, if you choose to say Yah, the short form, we all can agree. One thing I can say, we all can agree. The short form of the Most High's name is Yah. We all can agree to that. Right? Yah is the short form. Right? That's the short form of Yahweh. Some of you guys will say Yahuwah. Some of you guys will say Yahweh. But Yah is the short form, the short form. We all can agree to that. And if you all can agree to that, just type 1. I'm sure all of us can agree to that. All right. So let's go ahead and deal with this here. It says the usage of certain consonants to indicate a vowel in the spelling of Hebrew, Aramaic, Syriac languages is called Matres Lectionis, right? So we see that the Hebrew, Aramaic, these are all Shemitic languages, Syriac languages, right? This is where you get the Arabic from. The Arabic come from the Syriac languages. This is where you get those block letters from. So Hebrew, Aramaic, the Syriac languages is called Matres Lectionis. In other words, we're dealing with vowel letters. All right. The epiphenomenal association between consonant letters and vowel sounds was then seized upon and used in words without historic diphthongs. Look at this, family. It's saying this epiphenomenal association between consonant letters and vowel sounds was then seized upon and used in words without historic diphthongs. So now it's telling you that they, just like the source I share with you, the proof of interpolations, said the exact same thing that, and even the dictionary by Helena Petrovsky, excuse me if I'm butchering her name, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky or whatever. When I shared her source, she actually pointed out the same thing about the Masoretes, that they targeted keywords, as you see here. The epiphenomenal association between consonant letters and vowel sounds was then seized upon and used in words without historic diphthongs. So they targeted key words. So here's some historic words without diphthongs. Here it is. But before we do that, let's identify what a diphthong is so you guys understand this. Notice what it says. A diphthong is a sound made with combining two vowels, specifically when it starts as one vowel sound and goes to another, like oi sound and oil. Diphthongs come from the Greek word diphthongos, which means having two sounds. Remember, babal means confusion by mixing. Come on, family. That's what babal or Babylon means. Confusion by mixing. So a diphthong comes from the Greek word diphthongos, which means having two sounds. Having a one vowel sound, right, go right into another vowel sound, like oi and oil. And then we could go to the UA sound, the UA, and all those different sounds. All right. So let me highlight Germanic diphthongs real quick, and we'll touch on a few more things, and I'll give you some examples, and we'll progress here. I'll drop the link shortly here. So here's some diphthongs within the Germanic language, because it's the what they call Hebrew today, which is Israeli language, is heavily influenced by the Germans. Right. So this table lists the Germanic diphthongs and shows you how to pronounce them. And this is some of the ones that you see here, right? This is what you see here, right? So let's highlight a few more things before I go into it. So here's some words, here's some words without historic diphthongs. Here's some words. Notice what you see here. Yahuwah. That is it. This is a diphthong right here, family. That UA sound, remember, taking two vowels, bringing it together to form a sound, one sound. Come on, family. Yahuwah, that is a diphthong. Now, I don't have it in this lesson, but if you look up the word Yahoo, it's going to tell you it means a brute. Yahoo means a brute. But notice what you see here, Yahoo, right? That UA sound, keywords, right? Remember, I pointed out that's the Father's name. Yeshua, that's the Father's name. I mean, the Son's name. Notice this here, Ruach, that's the Holy Spirit name. This breaks the rules of even how Hebrew is written. Because Hebrew, each word is in the constructs of vowel, letter, vowel, letter, vowel. You don't see this as vowel, letter. You see a consonant, vowel, consonant, excuse me. That's what I meant to say. Consonant, vowel, consonant. You see here, consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant, right? We go here, Yeshua, right? Consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant, right? Vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. Come on, family. Come on, family. But I know some of you guys are still going to, even after I share this here, after I share this here, some of you guys are still going to say this here.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
Here's a chart that summarizes file class and length. And you can see across the top the three classes, A, Here's a chart that summarizes file class and length. And you can see across the top the three classes, A, E, and U, and then down the side the four lengths, long, medium, short, and very short. So let's just go over this chart. We'll start with the A class vowels. The long vowel is cholam vav, and you'll recall that this says O as in snow. Now you might wonder why an O vowel is in the A class, and this is because of historical considerations. Originally there was no O sound in Hebrew. Everything that is
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur.
All right. So let's get back into it. So we have two letters here, right? This is the ancient Hebrew right here. That's on the left of your screen. This is the Y, right? This makes the sound Y. On the right, this letter can also make the U sound. As far as an U, it can also make the O sound. So if it has a colon, va, which is a colon, which is a dot at the top, it'll make a O sound. If it has the dot in the center to the left, it'll make a U sound, a oo sound. It can make more sounds to this, but I'm just giving you a few sounds here. Ancient Hebrew is not written that way. There was no vowel letters, there was no vowel points. All right. So without that dot, right, with the dot at the dot in the center, and then make the oo sound, right? With it at the top, it'll make the O sound. Confusion. So again, key understanding of the vowel system, right? Matrix lectionis, right? Key to these vowel letters. Here's another example. I'm gonna drop this here. I'm not sure if this link is still available, but I'm going to drop this link so that way you guys can confirm what I'm saying here. Again, if I'm saying, whatever I'm saying here, you can vet the sources here. All right. So let me drop this link in the chat. All right. All right. I think something is happening with my chat because I'm not saying this stuff here. All right. So I want to say shout outs to Tangi or Tangi Ya. I want to give a shout out to her family. Let's show some love for Tangi Ya for the cash for the actually the super chat. I could see this in my other screen, my browser. I did not see this for some reason. My chat is acting up, so I can't put you up on the screen. My apologies. I wish I could do it, but it's not allowing me to put this sticker up. So let's show some love for Tangi Ya. So if I don't see your chats, if I'm not responding to the comments in the chat, it's because for some reason my StreamYard is acting up right now. I can't see here. I can't see the post come up. Let me try it this way. All right. So let's show some love for Tangi Ya. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super sticker tonight. Let's show some love for our sister. So, family, I can't see your comments. Unfortunately, I'm having issues with my live uh, through StreamYard. All right. Okay. But let's go ahead and continue here. Let's see what this source here says. It says, with the time a whole system, of rules was developed in Hebrew, which vowels should be marked with letters, either with vocalization. Notice what it says, the Nakud, or without it. Notice what this says in Yiddish. The letter ayin is used to indicate the presence of the sound e. Wait a minute. How can the ayan, which is supposed to make the ah sound, or some would say the I, but the ah or the I, how is the ayin making an e sound? Because again, that's when you get into vowel letters and vowel points. But notice what it says in Yiddish, the letter ayin or ayan is used to indicate the presence of the e sound or the sound e. However, it must not forget the letters, as you see here, in the Israeli Vav, Ha, Aleph, Yod. It says here, used as matrilectionis, do not have one specific pronunciation. Indeed, but they rather indicate one of. So, for example, the Aleph can make the A sound, the O sound, the E sound, even the I or the triple E. It can make these multiple sounds. The Ha can make the Ah, the E. You know, it can make a number of sounds and sometimes the O sound, right? So I'm not going to get into this portion of it because many will point to the Isaiah scrolls because they use points here. But I can show you here, and I'm not going to go through all the sources here, read all this because for the sake of time. But this right here, I'm gonna drop this link, and I encourage you guys to read this source here, and it's going to make it clear that the Essenes did not focus on uh, the accurate, being very accurate with how they translated the text. Right? Let me drop this link here because I know some of you guys are like, what in the world did Pastor just say? Let me drop this link here. All right, let me see if I could put it here. All right. And also I want to say shout outs to DeWitt Patton. Thank you for the super chat, and family. Let's show some love to DeWitt Patton. Thank you again for the contributions. Really appreciate you. Thank you again. All right. So family, I just put it inside the chat here, right? Another source here. All right. So let's get back to here. Let me just show something here real quick. All right. A key point. Right. Let me say it here. The Essenes in Qumran who copied this scroll approximately 100 BCE are not to be considered the protectors of an accurate text identical. So it's saying they didn't preserve uh, copying the text over with accuracy, 100% accuracy. All right. And it says here, goes on to say, they were actually far from the mainstream. And it is clear that the Q text of Isaiah is a dialect of Hebrew. In other words, a form of Hebrew, a dialect of Hebrew. It says it is not a translation, but is characterized by modifications in spelling and personal current Aramaic dialect that the Essenes would have spoken. It was much like changing ye to thee, like ye, thee, and thou to you, and thine to yours would be to us. Thus, the preservation of an identical letter for letter received text was not at all a part of their motivation. Right. So again, the Qumran text that I have translated, and these are the different the different texts here, right? The different manuscripts. But it says here, and are dialects of Hebrew and not the Hebrew of the Tanakh. All right. So let's continue here. Remember this quote: those letters do not any more than the points constitute part of the Hebrew scriptures as originally written. All right. Going back here, it says here, I may hereby by anticipation, add will be found equally to apply to the matrix lectionis after it shall have been proven that those letters do not any more than the points constitute part of the Hebrew scripts as originally written. So these vowel points, these vowel letters are not part of the ancient Hebrew. And that's what it's saying here. So just so that way we just do a quick Hebrew 101, right? Hebrew reads from right to left. For those that don't know Hebrew or haven't taken any classes, Hebrew reads from right to left. Remember that thought. Hebrew is very consistent. Each word usually follows this pattern, as you see here: the consonant vowel, consonant vowel structure, right? So notice what you see here. All right. Do Yeshua follow the consonant vowel structure? Does it follow the structure? I went on and put it up on your screen, and I just want to see your vote, right? Just type in what you see on your screen. All right. All right. You see the flaw here. K Rock D says, so it seems like since we don't know the original Hebrew, that we shouldn't even speak to our creator at all unless it's correct ancient Hebrew. You know, the Most High can transliterate. He knows our condition. He knows that he's restoring this language before us, right? So I'm just going to say, pray to him. You know what I mean? He's going to understand. You know, just like when my daughters were when they were young and they were learning how to speak, guess what? I knew what they were saying, right? I understood what goo goo gaga meant in their language. You know what I mean? Understood their communications, right? So the Most High understand our condition, and I just wanted to say that's what we're doing with here. We're just taking it little by little, you know, giving you some sources that you can actually go off of. I want to say shout outs to T. I want to Ty. I want to say shout outs to Ty, Vincent family. Show some love to Ty. She appreciate the super sticker here. Show some love for Sister Ty here for the contributions tonight. Appreciate it, my sister. Thank you for the love and support. Really appreciate it. So as you see on your screen, right, you see Yeshua. Now I have the consonant vowel structure there. And as you can see, it does not follow this structure here. Yeshua does not follow this structure. All right. So that's incorrect. Right. This is where we see an issue right here. You see consonant vowel, vowel. Here's another word. Yahweh. Does it follow the consonant vowel structure? Absolutely not. Because you see consonant, vowel, consonant. So even if they try to make this into two words, they can't, because you got Yah. But then when you look at here, Hua or Hoa or Hawa, and I'm going to show you here what it actually means when you say Hova or Hua. I'm going to show you what it actually means, right? Hawa means life. Hawa means exist or to exist. But I'm going to show you what Hoa means real quick. But notice what you see here. You see consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. So this is what? Incorrect. Yahuwah. You see consonant, vowel, consonant. Guess what? That's incorrect. Let me give you another one. We see ruach, still dealing with those diphthongs. We see consonant, vowel, consonant, right? That's not, and this would be a ka, right? So, so this would be one sound here for ruach. So to be a a ka, or the Israeli is cheth, the ancient Hebrew is chat. All right. So this would be one letter here. So this would still fall up under the consonant together because this is one letter, ka. Right. But nevertheless, we see consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant. Doesn't follow the rules. All right. So just to substantiate what I just pointed out, this is from Classical Hebrew, page 12. Notice what it says. And this is what you see at the top of here. Okay. A simple syllable starts with a consonant followed by a vowel. If this is followed by a consonant, which has a silent shavah underneath it, or should have, that's give me some additional information right here. But nevertheless, the second consonant closes the syllable. And we have a closed syllable, consonant, vowel, consonant. Otherwise, the syllable is considered as open, ending with either a vowel or a silent consonant, right? A compound syllable starts with a consonant followed by a half vowel, but it's still a vowel, right? A sounded shavah or hataf, followed by a second consonant vowel, followed by a vowel. If this is followed by a consonant, consonant with a silent shavah, we have a closed compound syllable. But notice what you still see here: consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. Otherwise, an open compound syllable: consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. So we still see the consonant vowel structure as you see here, right? That's what this is saying, right? That's what this is saying. That's what this is saying. Like what we see here, if you see here, this is Shabbat, right? And this would be Lem Med, right? Lemed, right? Lemed, right? So I'm just saying it in, the Israeli here. All right. But anyway, I'm just reading that out. I just wanted to give you a sample how that reads here, right? Right. Shabbat, right? And these are vowel points, right? These are vowel points. Or actually, when we get over here, right? And this is what this is saying. This is a shavah, but it's still what? A vowel. So consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant. So this would be, this is a karet, which makes the ed sound. So to be le. And then we see the saray, so to be le made, right? Le made, right? So that's the pronunciation. So it's giving you the example right here. All right. But anyway, so now that we got that out the way, let me give you some additional information, right? So let me give you another source here. We're going to deal with one more source, and then I'm going to drop the link here like I normally do, but I want to deal with another source. And I may even give you a couple examples before we cut this off, and we'll do part 2 next Saturday night, because we're just going to go through some foundational things, because I know we have a lot of babes that are transitioning into this truth. And I want to make sure that you guys have foundational teaching that you can pull from. So let's deal with the Shemitic vowel ah, right? Right. Let's deal with some ancient Hebrew, right? So ancient Quadam, Hebrew, Ibaryah, or some would say Ibri, but Ibaryah. I'm just saying it in ancient Hebrew. Vocalizes each consonant with ah. So the ancient Hebrew alabayat consists of 22 consonants. Here it is. And I'm just going to say the sounds that it makes. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, or some would say aya, pa, taza, qua, ra, sha, tha. All right. So here's some key understandings to ancient Hebrew, right? I'm not sure if these links are still up, but I'm going to drop the link here. Let me give you another source here. Let me drop another link here. Matter of fact, let me make sure I drop the Isaiah Scrolls link. I'm gonna drop it again for you guys to review it at your leisure. So this is the Isaiah Scrolls right here. Let me drop that again. All right. Let's go to another source here. Let me drop this link here. All right, family, I'm giving you nothing but sources. I am giving you nothing but sources. So let's drop this link here that I'm getting ready to cover, and then we're going to confirm a couple of things, and then we'll table this for part 2 or episode 2. Here you go. All right. So vowels could be reconstructed in, when you see IE, that's Indo-European. So vowels could be reconstructed in Indo-European languages, based languages, even easier than in Hebrew because of excessiveness of those languages. Yet, written languages beyond the Egyptian and West Semitic differentiate vowels even in shorthand writing. To omit the vowels is odd unless vocalization was unessential or unambiguous. Proto Hebrew was unambiguous. The language had a single vowel, ah, which later evolved into other vowels according to synodical accent. Differentiation of vowels run exactly along morphological differentiation. So this is telling you the original sound was the ah sound. Sanskrit vocalizes each consonant with ah. This is giving an example here without specifically marking that sound. Hebrew likewise need not vowels. The only existing vowel ah was presumed for every consonant when writing, for example, the kaf, right, which would be ka. The Hebrew actually meant ka, as you see here, ca. Consonant vowel that we just covered. Consonant vowel structure provided for clear pronunciation of consonants without blurring, as in consonant vowel consonant clusters of final consonants. Initially, each syllable was pronounced distinctly with its own accents. So it says, when it says syllable, each letter was a syllable. So we see here, you guys familiar with the term dabar, which transliterates to word. It also can transliterate to command. So you see here, it says initially it was dabar ra. Then, as you see, dabar ra. As people became more fluent in speech, they pronounced words as a whole, and accents naturally shifted into the penultimate position, dabara. Unaccented final vowels shortened to indistinct sharuk, and this is where you get dabaru. Now we see that ah at the end turned to a u. This is what? Stretching and modifying the ah sound, and was eventually lost to now saying what? Dabar. Right? So it's Dabar Ra, sounds like Deborah name, Dabar Ra. Then they changed that ah to a u, stretched it out to make a u sound. So it went to, this is where you get the sharuk, that dot that I pointed out, though, right? The sharuk with that dot next to that ba in the center to make the u sound or the u sound, and was eventually lost, Dabar. So let me confirm this. Let's go to the Shemitic vowel, right? Let me drop this source here, right? Let me drop this source. I know I'm going a little geek mode here, but let me drop the source before we continue. Let me drop the source here. And family, you can get this, you can get this at your leisure. Unfortunately, many of our brothers and sisters, right, especially those that are teaching, want to ignore what I am pointing out here. It's fine, right? It's fine, but let me show you here. All right. All right. So American Journal of Philology, Semitic vowel ah. All right. I see someone said that link the previous link that I shared is not coming up. I'll see if I can get an alternate link for it. But if not, that link is lost. All right. So let's go ahead and go to this source here. Let's go to this source here. All right. Notice what this says. We may have a very valuable testimony, Semitic pronunciation, which may not only furnish materials history of the Babylonian Assyrian vocalism, but also on that of the sister dialects, especially the Central or Canaanitish groups. It is valued, right, as you see here, its value is diminished dealing with the ah. Indeed, the fact that in a foreign character not invented by Semites or to express sound. So they're saying people that was non-Shemitic made modifications to the language. Yet this disadvantage concerns the consonants mainly, and if the writings is correctly read, it ought to give us in general a true picture of the early Babylonian pronunciation of the vowels. In the case of other dialects, our direct information does not back further than about the beginning of our era, and the results of comparison of sounds must always have the uncertainty that attaches to the materials. All right. I have here gathered some materials for a history of the first vowel ah, giving first the cases in which it has maintained itself, then the changes it has undergone. It has been preserved in the following forms. First, in the primitive or underived noun and a number of words, such as, notice what you see here, ob, right? That's the original vowel sound. Ah, ob, father, ak. Still got the ah, ak, brother, yod. Notice it's not saying yod, yod. That's the original sound. Then we see kaf, which actually is ka, hand, in which, except the last, Hebrew in accordance, law of tone broadening has retained the original vowel status constructus and in the plural of ak. So it's saying that these words, ab, ak, yad, right, they still retain the original sound. Ah, now you don't hear yad, you hear yod, right? You're hearing yod instead of yod. Okay. All right. So let's go to, I'm going to continue with the source here, right? From the article, we infer a primitive stem ha, with which may be compared Arab hay, has a probable lengthening. So may out of ma and possibly day or da, whence Arabic da. But notice what this says here. Most of the simple particles, right, have ah as in ba. Notice what you see here. Ah as in ba. Ka, la, fa. La, wa, fa, sa, an, al, la, khad. Now, that AU sound is supposed to make the ah sound. That AU sound supposed to make an ah sound. So you see AU, right, making ah, the LAU, la, the KAI, kai, because you still have the ah. So to say kai. So you hear the original ah. It sounds just like how we made the original sounds. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha. Right? So you see here ah as in ba, ka, la, wa, fa, sa, ah, am, an, al, la, khad, ah, la, kai, and others, while the ah has thus maintained itself in so large a number of cases. It has also suffered frequent phonetic diminution, modifications, stretching it out, and increased mainly by the influence of the accent. Whose accent? First, let's take the forms in which it has undergone degradation. And this is where we see the introduction into umlauts. These are umlauts. We see those two dots. These are what is called umlauts. The Eastern, in other words, Babylonian Assyrian dialects seem to offer no example of this change. The Eastern Aramaic writes. So, two key points that I want to highlight. Again, its value, the I is diminished. Indeed, by the fact that in a foreign character not invented by Semites or to express the express sounds. Who was it? I pointed it out. The Greeks, right? So, what is an accent? Just so that way you understand what an accent is, right? An accent, an effort in speech to stress one syllable over adjacent syllables. That's what an accent is. All right. In entry number 2, it says here a distinctive manner of expression. The sub entry, a way of speaking typically of a particular group of people. But notice what this says here, a mark. So an accent can be a mark used in writing or printing to indicate specific sound value. So you'll see a mark so that way you can retain the accent of who? The individual, the group. That's why the Israeli language, the so-called modern Hebrew, sounds so Germanic. Aleph, Beth, Gimel, Daleth, Hey, Ba, Zion, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamet, Mem, Nun, Samik, Ayin, Pe, Sade, Kuf, Resh, Sin, Shin, Tav. It sounds, you can hear some of the Germanic influence. So an accent can be a mark. Doesn't that sound familiar? The Nikud mark, used in writing or printing to indicate a specific value. Stress or pitch to distinguish words otherwise identically spelled or to indicate that an ordinarily muted mute vowel should be pronounced. And when we go to the etymology of this word, it's going to confirm this. It's going to go even further. Particular mode of pronunciation. But notice what this says here, right? This is the key that I want to highlight. Effort and utterance making one syllable stronger than the other in pitch or stress. But here it is. Mark, right? Or character. So it can be a literal mark. That's the Nikud system, or Naquad in the ancient Hebrew, how it's pronounced, or the matrilationis, which is used by characters, vowel letters. So mark or characters used in writing to indicate accent. Whose accent? All right. So let's go back to this source here. It says, we're going to deal with the umlauts real quick. The introduction of umlauts. What is an umlaut? Here's what an umlaut is. Germanic, right? Basic Germanic, right? Umlauts slightly alter the sound of the vowels. So this is a Germanic influence. And this is what you see here. These are some of the Germanic influences, like this A, right? That you're going to see the influence over what is supposedly be the Hebrew letters, the vowels. So the umlaut looks like the Nikud vowel sign Saray, right? This is the umlaut, and this makes an A sound. This is the Saray Yod, and this is the Saray with the vowel Yod, which this would be considered a vowel letter. But these two makes an A sound. But we see these two dots at the top of the letter making the same sound, and it's a umlaut. Germanic influence, family. So is the similarities of the marks and sounds a coincidence? No. Why do I refer to the so-called modern Hebrew as Israeli? Well, let me answer this question. Because you guys already know Israeli simply means citizens of the state of Israel, but that name simply distinguishes the citizens of the modern state from the ancient people. So you hear them use this term Israeli all the time, making it clear that they may have been born in a country. They may be modern citizens, but they're not the original people of that territory. That's why we see in the Jewish almanac, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or a Hebrew. All right. So let me show you something here. Let me give you another source. Let me drop this information inside the comment section, and I encourage you guys to go back over. I know I am going geek mode. I know I'm going geek mode. All right. I see another contribution here. Let me give a shout out here real quick. All right. I want to give a shout out to Bass Reeves. Thank you for the love and support. Really appreciate it for the contribution tonight. Family, let's show some love to Bass Reeves. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Let's show some love, family. All right. So let's go ahead and let me drop this in the comment section. And family, you could go back and you can research this at your leisure. All right. And I'm going to show one more thing because I want to deal with that hova, that hua, show you another source. I wasn't able to do screen prints on it, but I'm just going to pull it up on the screen for your viewing. All right. So let me put this source here. Let me put the source. All right. Come on, mouse. Let me put this source inside the chat. And guys, you can uh, pull this up. All right. There's another source here. Let me see if I can put the link up too. And you can confirm. Here, yeah, here's the link. This is the actual link of what I'm going to read from. And then we'll do another language and then I'll drop the link. I know it's late for some. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me get this link here. Oh, no, I didn't put the link here. I thought I had the link here, but you could search, you could Google it and you could get the link here. But let me show you what Oxford, right? Some of the scholars from Oxford. Let's see what they say about this so-called modern Hebrew. Notice what they say here. For more than 1700 years thereafter, Hebrew was comatose, either a sleeping beauty or walking dead. It served as a liturgical and literary language, and occasionally also as a lingua franca for Jews of the diaspora, but not as a mother tongue. The formation of Israeli, notice what it says, the formation of Israeli, the name I use for so-called modern Hebrew. So you see this Oxford scholar calling Hebrew Israeli, the so-called modern Hebrew Israeli. It says was facilitated at the end of the 19th century by Eliezer ben Yehuda. I mentioned him earlier, school teachers and others to further the Zionist cause. So he's sharing that the language that you are hearing being called Hebrew, and they use this to influence what is supposedly be called biblical Hebrew, is all politics to further the Zionist cause. Earlier during the Haskalah, in other words, in Enlightenment period of the 1770s through the 1880s, writers such as Mendele, Mokur, Safarim, right, produced works in neologisms, which eventually contributed to Israeli. However, it was not until the beginning of the 20th century, notice what it says, it was not until the beginning of the 20th century that the language was first spoken as a result of distinctive characters such as the lack of a continuous chain of native speakers from Hebrew to Israeli. Israelis present the linguist with a unique laboratory experimenting in which to test a wider set of theoretical problems concerning language genesis and evolution. Indeed, the genetic classification of Israeli has preoccupied linguists. In other words, influencing in language from the beginning of the 20th century. The still prevalent traditional view suggests that Israeli is Semitic. In other words, Hebrew revived. Notice what he's going to say here. Educators, scholars, and politicians have contributed to this assumption in their efforts to impose a nationalist narrative on linguistic reality. Revisionists counter that it is actually Indo-European Yiddish relexified, that is Yiddish with Hebrew vocabulary. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. Am I not giving you sources? Am I not giving you sources? Am I not giving you sources? Right? Gladiators, are you not entertained? Right? It makes me think about that. Or am I not giving you sources? I'm giving you plenty of sources. Right? Israeli is a hybrid language, both Semitic and Indo European. I argue that both Hebrew and Yiddish act equally as its primary contributors, accompanied by a plethora of other contributors such as Polish, Russian, German, Judeo Spanish, in other words, Ladino, Arabic, English, and etc. These are all the contributions to what is being called uh, modern Hebrew. Thus, the term Israeli is far more appropriate than Israeli Hebrew, let alone modern Hebrew or Hebrew to court. All right. So notice what he says is here, right? Yet closer scrutiny challenges this perception. The victorious Hebrew may, after all, be partly Yiddish at heart. In other words, the foundation of it, what you hear today, is Yiddish. In other words, Yiddish survives beneath Israeli phonetics, phonology, syntax, lexis, and even morphology. Although traditional and institutional linguists have been reluctant to admit it, they know that this is not ancient Hebrew, not even close to it, but they don't want to admit it. That's what he's saying here. Although traditional and institutional linguists have been reluctant to admit it. So, family, let me give you another language because I believe it at least giving you two or three witnesses. Another language that vocalizes each consonant with ah without specifically marking that sound. I call it Ga'az, right? The true pronunciation of it is Ga'az. Today they call it Giz or Ge'ez. But let me show you here, right? It says here before the 4th century, Ga'az had not made use of vowels, but the usage of vowels was incorporated into Ga'az when the Ashkemites converted to what? Christianity, which occurred sometime in the 4th century. Pankhurst, right, suggests that the reason that the alphabet was modified at the time could have been due to the wish to make biblical text more intelligible to the newly literate, right? So notice this here, right? Right? Sabine and Ge'ez. This is Ge'ez, right? But you see the original sounds. I want you to pay attention. The original sounds of the Sabines, the original sounds of Ge'ez or Ga'az. This is their original sounds. Let me zoom in so you guys can see this here. It's going to sound just like the ancient Hebrew we read earlier. Notice what you see here. Ah, ba, ga, da, za, ta'a, ya, ka, la, ma, sa, sa'a, ka, or ka'a, ra, wa, za, ha, na, sa, ta, fa. Come on, family. That's a mic drop right there. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. I gave you a Shemitic language because Ge'ez or Ga'az is a Shemitic language. I want to say shout outs to Daughters of the Most High. Thank you for the love and support. Family, let's show some love for Daughters of the Most High. Ari, thank you again for the contributions tonight. Really appreciate the love and support. Thank you, my sister. Really appreciate it. All right. So, family, doesn't that sound like the ancient Hebrew I just pronounced about an hour ago? This is a Shemitic language. You don't see an L sound, right? You don't see an L sound. Let me give you another source here. Ancient Hebrew Phonology from Cornell University, Gary A. Rinsberg, page 79. Notice what he says here. The question remains as to how accurately the reading tradition of the biblical text and the Masoretic transcription, thereof, reflects ancient Hebrew. That is to say, the Masoretic text, in other words, that is the traditional text of the Bible, dates to it says 850, the Common Era, and reflects the manner in which biblical Hebrew was pronounced at that time. But we're still dealing with what? The 9th century. This is not going into the antiquities. Notice what this says here. But how traditional, an example, how ancient was the reading tradition of the readers for the centuries before 850, right? In other words, does the Masoretic text reflect Hebrew as it was pronounced 500 years earlier, or 1,000 years earlier, even 1,500 years earlier. In some cases, we can answer this question, but no definitive conclusion can be reached. Nevertheless, we will base ourselves on the assumption that the readers of the first millennium, right, of the Common Era was extremely conservative in their biblical reading tradition, and that the Masoretic text more or less accurately reflects the pronunciation, right? So this is another source, family. This is another source. This is another source. Let me drop this link in here, right? Let me drop this source here so you guys could go and review it. Another source that's providing proof of what I just pointed out. Them using this 500-year curve, assuming that this is how ancient Hebrew was being pronounced 500 years prior. So basically in the 4th century. Come on, family. I already gave you the facts that ancient Hebrew only had an ah sound. We confirmed it with a source called Ga'az, which they pronounce geese. I gave you a source to further substantiate what I just pointed out. All right. All right. So let me show you guys one more source, and then I'm gonna drop the link right now. And for anyone that wants to jump on, I know it's kind of late, but I'm gonna drop one more link. I know I went geek mode here, and I'm going to blame Sister Carol if she's in the building. I'm gonna blame her for me going geek mode. So let me drop the link here, but I'm going to go ahead and I want to share another source here because I do want to address the Yah, the Hova, the Hua. I want to address that with a source here. Let me bring this up here. All right. All right. Hey, sis, let me share this one last source and we'll have a quick discussion on it. Okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
Let me just do this here. All right. I'm going to share. All right. All right. If you can see my screen, family, just type 1. Let me see here. Let me make sure this came up. All right. Now, why is this doing this here? All right. Let me pull this up here. All right. If you can see my screen, type 1. Let me stretch this out and I'm going to zoom in. Right. Because I want to further prove what I just pointed out here. Remember what I said about Hawa. All right. So I'm going to zoom in right here. This is Hawa right here. Now let me zoom in so that way you can see what it says about Hawa. Right. It says here, right? Hawa. You see the, let me see here. I'm zooming it in a little more here. So what you see here, right? Hawa. And how do I know that I'm to pronounce it Hawa? Because you see these 2 points here. This is what is called a comet, right? And the comet makes an ah sound. You also have a patak, which looks like a dash, right? That makes an ah sound. So this will be ha-wa, hawa, right? And we combine it with ya, it would be ya hawa, right? But anyway, so we see hawa. So hold that thought right here. But notice you see here to breathe, right? And it goes on and tells us that the association of hawa with kaya, right? When we look right here where it says kaya, all right? But it says here, like the cognate roots, And we see here, this is silent. The aleph is silent in Israeli language, right? So this would be Aba or Ava, right? Because this doesn't have the dot in the center, so it'd be pronounced as a vet versus a bet. So it'd be Ava, right? But notice what we see here, right? Hawa, that's what I want to highlight. And as you see here, it means what? In a nutshell, it says to breathe, right? And then it says here the older that is the old is that it is older than the common form, right? And we see ha ya, and its self primitive may be seen both from the va, right? And I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to give you proper clarity that va didn't exist at that time. But the key is I wanted to make sure you see hawa, right? But notice what you see over here. You see ha, all right, right? Ha uwa. I'm highlighting this right here. Ha uwa. And notice what it says here, right? Ruin, fall, right? So if you look this word up, hova or who, right? As you see, ha uwa, it's going to say ruin, fall, destruction, right? So I'm giving you sources and you can look it up. Just type in hova, Hova, and it's going to tell you it means destruction. And as you see here, ruin, fall, calamity, destruction, right? And you have some different variations of this word. But you see here, right? You see and as you see, this is the patak, right? And it makes the ah sound. And you see the kamet, which makes the ah sound. So to be ha ua. But down here that I'm highlighting here, hopefully you guys can see it. I'm gonna try to highlight it for you at the bottom of your screen. Now you see that dot at the top. So this tells me that this is going to be pronounced hova, right? Because you see the ha, the dot at the top, which is the colon, right, over the va. So it'll be pronounced hova, which means what? Misfortune, calamity. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. But yet, many going to continue to hold on to whatever they want to believe. Let me zoom this in a little more. I know sometimes when you're sharing certain applications like Adobe, it can be very slow. It can take up a lot of processor of your processor. So as you see here, hawa, right, to breathe. What I highlighted earlier, as you see here, hova, misfortune, calamity. Let me scroll up a little bit. Right? We see ha ua, right? Ha ua, right? Similar to saying what? Yahuwah. Because if you put the ya at the beginning, it'd be Yahuwah. So haua, I mean ha ua. So Yahuwah means what? As you see here, desire, cupidity, right? Synonymous to what? Stupidity, right? But anyway, ruin, fall, calamity, destruction. That's not the Most High's name, right? That's not the Most High's name. All right. So I just want to uh, close out with that thought here. I'm going to stop this share because it's taking up a lot of my resources, making my thing move sluggish here. Let me take this out. So that is the reason why Jay-Z calling himself Jehovah. All right. That's not a coincidence. That is not a coincidence. All right, sis, you have the floor. I'm just
Peace and blessings. I'm so glad you did this tonight. I don't know what to do. I know we mentioned this before, and I know there's probably some new people on here. But however, if you want even more geek mode teaching of ancient Hebrew, join the Patreon account for We Woke Now. There are 7 lessons out there with resources that he has placed out there for you to have, from the history, from how paleo helio went from translated from the original over to Greek, over to Phoenician, over to modern, to over to Yiddish. So you can see all that history of how the language was taken away and translated to what you're talking to now. And also gives you lessons where you're actually, like we did the exercise earlier, in pronouncing the letters. I highly encourage you to go and join that account and get even more in-depth teaching and learning of it. And I'm glad you did this tonight. Someone was in the chat. He's probably listening now because I blocked him because he got rude with somebody in the chat. K Rock wanted to know the ancient Hebrew for Emmanuel.
All right, I'll bring that up real quick because
Bring it
I
up
showed
right
the
quick.
lesson on there.
Now I did my own, but I'm gonna see if I match what you said, what you have.
Let me bring it up here. Let me pull that presentation up here. All right, let's see here. Because you can actually hear the two words
Mm-hmm.
aman,
You can hear it, right?
right? Aman, which is the primitive root word aman, and then we see al or Allah at the end. But let
Allah,
me bring it
right?
up here. All right, let's see here. All right, bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna bring it up here. I'm trying to bring it up now. All right. All right. Let me share the screen. All right. Let's see here. All right. Let me share the screen. All right. Let me stop this here. Oh man, I'm telling you, my StreamYard is acting crazy right now.
Slow, yeah. But that was real strange earlier. They just wiped out the whole earlier chat. Just wiped it out completely.
Yeah, well, when you do when I do certain teachings,
Yeah,
for some
yeah.
reason, especially like
Correct.
this, for some
Right.
reason it started acting haywire. So I
Right.
have to constantly check my message and make sure they not getting ready to throw a strike on me because when normally when that happens, they're about to give me a strike here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me pull this up here. All right. And it's kind of moving a little slow here. Let me make sure I close out a couple other things here. All right, let me close out my Adobe because sometimes Adobe can take up a lot of
Oh yeah, it
resources.
does.
So let me
Yeah.
close that out. Let me end that task here. Close out some of these sources or applications. So let me close out because it's moving really sluggish. So let me close that out. Let's do an end task on that. All right. That should help speed up, at least release some of the process, sir, utilization here. All right.
You have to bring the other screen forward.
Yeah, so I'm about to stretch this out. See brother Don in the back here. Let me bring this up here
Uh-oh.
real quick. Let me
You know,
stretch this out.
he has to do his dial up to get on.
All right. Man, this thing is moving extremely slow. I'm just closing some stuff down. All right. Can you see it?
Make my
Is it
screen
up on
bigger.
your screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, and let me close that out. All right. So let's break down Emmanuel. Let's rewind this a little bit. But do I have it here? All right. Let's rewind it here because we'll see Emmanuel, right? We'll start with Isaiah chapter 7,
Mm-hmm.
right? As you see here, it says, therefore Adonai Yah himself shall give you a sign, Awath, behold, a virgin, Alamah, shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Iman Nawa'al. Some
Right.
would uh, bring these two together or drop the I here, make this into two words. Would it be
Mm-hmm.
Aman?
I'm on.
We say Aman na
Mm-hmm.
all, still sounds similar to Emmanuel. But you
Right.
see, there's two words here, right? So we already know what a sign is. I'm not going to get into that portion of it. But let's go and break down this word, right? But this is, as you see here, this is the ancient Hebrew writing of the name Iman na all, right?
Right.
Or Aman na wa all. Either way,
Right.
Aman na all
Oh.
or Aman na wa all, right? So we see here, we see that it means, of course, the Most High with us, right? But we'll
Mm-hmm.
see that these are two words that comes together, right? We see Allah. That's why many people get confused when I say, "Hey, it's not L is not a ancient. It's not in ancient Hebrew." And
Mm-hmm.
Ugaritic was just deciphered back in 1934, right? So
Right.
they were not saying Elohim; they were saying Allah,
Allah.
right? Or Allaha or
Mm-hmm.
Allahayam.
Allah.
All
Yeah.
right. So let me go to Matthews 1:22 and 23, where it says, his name shall be called Emmanuel. Now, family, this is not saying that his literal name will be called Emmanuel. When you see Sham, it means reputation, as we covered earlier. So he'll
Right.
be walking in the reputation, the authority, the glory of what? He'll the Most High being among us. So that's pretty much what this is saying. The Most High being being among us. So that's all this is right here. When we look at here, it's just a combination of two words, Iman na all, or Iman na Allah. If you add the I at the end, that's the actual people right here. Did you write it out that way, sis?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. So, all right. I'll let you guys go ahead and whatever questions that you guys have, feel free to ask. Let's see here. Let me see what Aaron G. I'll start with Aaron G because I think he has a question. Aaron G, you got the floor.
Shalom, Pastor Kelly and the panel. How y'all doing? Um, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the question I have is about I am. I've heard, you know, uh, people say the translation for I am is a uh, a higher
Ahaya.
or e-
It'll be
um
Ahaya Ashar Ahaya.
yeah, so I've heard that. So what is that accurate or and that's
That's
my question.
accurate. That's accurate, but that's not the Most High's name. His name is Yahweh, but what he's doing in that text, he's making a declaration saying, "I exist," because Israel questioned, I mean, or Moses' concern was the people believing that the Most High is real, that He exists, because
Mm,
they were in bondage to the Egyptians for 215 years, and all they knew is the authority of the Egyptians. And I'm going to cover this in
correct.
part two. But the Most High was saying to Moses when he says Ahaya, Ashar Ahaya, he's saying I exist. Tell them Ahaya, Ashar Ahaya, I Yahweh exist. I tell the people
Okay.
I exist. Tell them I Yahweh exist.
Okay.
So Ahaya is a declaration saying that I exist, right? Yahweh means he exists. Right? So
Okay.
that's all he's saying. His name is actually Yahweh, but that's a declaration of saying that, hey, Moses tell the people, Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya. In other words, tell them that I exist, I, Yahweh, exist.
When you go to the children of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just wanted the explanation on that. Um, and that's all I had. That's all I had.
Okay, okay. Well, hey, I appreciate
Uh,
the love and support. Appreciate you jumping on, and we'll do this in
uh-huh.
part two next weekend. And
Okay.
I'll go through the entire teaching. I know I'm giving you a quick top
Yeah.
level of it, but we'll break it down. I actually bring up the
Okay.
text and really give definitions and giving sources like I did in this lesson here.
Okay. And the Most High, man, the Most High. I just got off of work and I just tuned in and I seen the title and I was like, man, I was just thinking about that the other day. I was just thinking about, the different names that I hear, you know, people call on. And I just happened to come on YouTube and I was like, wow, Pastor Kelly's doing a lesson on that tonight. So I got to go back and listen to the full lesson. But I just wanted to just ask that question. But definitely appreciate your teaching and all that you do.
Hey, I appreciate it, and thank you for the love and support. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. Appreciate it, my
All
brother.
right.
Have a good night. All
You
right.
too.
All right, brother Don, is that your sound like you're on? We was getting some feedback on your end. Same sound like your AOL is acting up. Sound like you got an AOL connection. Sound like you're using your 28K modem. Let's try it again.
It's
Yeah,
like he's from NASA. He's at the spaceship. Wait a minute. Are you in the Ocean Gate?
he, I'm waiting for it to say you got mail.
I think he's in Ocean Gate. It's like he's
You
underwater.
know, somebody hang up the phone. Yeah, but Don, yeah, your connection sound really bad. Let me try one more time. Yeah, yeah. You may have to reset your mic. But yeah, you sound really bad. Let me try one more time. Yeah, yeah. So when you go to talk, that's where we hear the static. All right. But while he's adjusting his mic or whatever, any other things you want to share, sis?
I'm sorry. Sorry, got me coughing. But earlier, yeah, the Most High made it very clear that He was going to restore us, that He was going to bring recompense um, upon us to have our things that was taken away from us. And the number one thing was our language, because our language is part of our culture. You can't have a nation of people if they don't have a tongue. So, of course, that was going to be restored back because it was taken from us. And He made that promise to us once we uh, awaken to who we are and start seeking Him out. That's part of our
Absolutely,
reparations. That's part of our reparations.
absolutely, absolutely. You hit it on the nail. Uh, and that's the key, and that's why I wanted to do this lesson, and hopefully those that are watching, especially if they're babes and they just want to know the basics, the basic understanding. Like I said, I wasn't trying to go at any particular group because you know how sometimes people can instigate and give the impression that I'm trying to go after any a particular group or a particular person. I'm not doing that. I'm just teaching, giving you guys proper clarity on what's what, you know,
Correct.
and that's the whole goal. That's the whole intent of this lesson tonight. So, family, go back over and listen to the lesson. Covered a lot. Covered a lot. So let's see if Don got his mic together here. All right, Don, you may want to turn your volume down or so, because it sounds like when you're talking, apparently it's getting some type of feedback. So because it sounds like it's echoing as well. So you may have your mic in front of the speaker, or it may be too loud. All right. So, but again, like I said, sis, just wanted to do this lesson, just so that way people can actually have something to go off of. Because again, I know a lot of people are saying different names, and I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
going against them, but at the same time, many of them know what I've been teaching and giving them even more, even additional sources than what I shared tonight, and many of them just decide that they're going to keep doing what they want to do, and
Correct.
that's up to them. But many want to stay in a safe pocket, because of some that have uh you know because of their actions, and how they present the information, how they present themselves.
Correct.
They want to stay separate from those guys. But for me, I'm just going to teach the truth no matter what. I'm not going to compromise because of fear of how someone may perceive me. So yeah,
Right. Exactly. I,
you know,
you told it right. But no,
so let's try this again with Don real quick here. All right, I think I lost Sister Carol here. Yeah, Don, it's not working, man. It's not working. A lot of feedback, a lot of echo. Like I said, it sound like you want a modem, literally. Not trying to make fun of it, but it sound like you want a 20K. I mean, a AOL 28K modem. Literally, that's how you sound. Not sure why it's doing that, but yeah, you sound like you want a modem. I'm just waiting
wow.
for it to say you got mail. You know what I mean? So let's try one more
Yeah.
time. All right, Don, you want to test it one more time?
We need to turn this mic off. Just talk through the computer. Take his headset off and talk through his computer.
Yeah. All
Use your
right,
computer.
Don, one last time, man. Unmute yourself because I'm trying to unmute you, but you can unmute yourself if you want to test it out one more time. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and we'll bring one more person in. Uh, let's see here. I think she disconnected. Bethaya, yeah. All right. I think she disconnected. But yeah,
Mm.
let me try one more. I think she's here now. Let me try real quick. All right, Bethaya, you have the floor. How you doing, sis?
Hi, how are you? Um,
Doing great.
yes, and oh gosh, this was a golden lesson. Thank you so very much. And Sister Carol, I really appreciate it. And my name is pronounced Bithia.
All right, my apologies, Bithia. My apologies.
It's okay. It's okay. Everyone does it. Only a few people get it, but it rhymes with Cynthia. So when you see it, it's just remember it's Bithia.
Bithia.
Um, yeah, Bithia. Real easy. Actually, it's the woman who drew Moses from the water. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, what I wanted to say was or ask is that obviously the what I've been learning for over a year now the alphabet is and it's supposedly biblical Hebrew. It's not my goal, obviously, learning um, from you tonight. And I was told that all the shalawam and everything that I've heard from the fellows on the streets in the camp, they were teasing in my class and calling it Hebonics. And I didn't take it seriously. And now having your class this evening, I realize that I've been faltering. So what I want to know is, Carol said Patreon. Do you have actual classes in which I can join? I have to start all over because I've learned the alphabet and I know how to say a few things here and there. And um, how do you say thank you? Because I know Toda Rabah, but obviously that's wrong.
Yeah, in ancient Hebrew, it's simply Tawada.
Tawada.
And what's interesting is when you, for example, if you have the Strong's in-depth definition for us to quote the dictionary, the etymological dictionary, when you go to the primitive root words of the Hebrew words, pretty much most of the words that are comes from Hebrew,
Mhm.
you'll see that, for example, Moshe, you'll see it says Masha, right? You'll see it pronounced just the way that you hear it's being pronounced. Instead of Aaron, Aharon. Instead of David, because there was no V sounds in ancient Hebrew, it would be Dawad. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, uh, you know, our brothers and sisters that are in the camps, for me, I know some of the behaviors can be extreme. I'm not saying all, I'm saying some, because I don't want to
Right,
paint a broad brush, like many are painting a broad brush. And I
right.
don't want to be a broad brush being done to me and our community. So I know some of the behaviors in some of the camps, not all of them, is not good in terms of their behavior, but we cannot just completely dismiss them like what they're doing to try to dismiss and mock some of the things that they're teaching.
Hmm.
Because for me, my cousin, he he said shalom to me while I was in my second year learning what I thought was Hebrew. And he said shalom to me, but I didn't laugh at him because when he said shalom, I was like, oh, well, I said, well, I was like, is that Asian? Because that sound more of an Asian, like Japanese, pronunciation. And so I just responded to him by saying, Kamsam Hap Nida, you know, Ajim Adashi, right? And that's
Right,
Korean. That's
right,
that's greeting him in Korean. And
right.
he said, "What did you just say?" And I told him what I said. And I said, "That's what it sounds. It sounds like you were speaking in a foreign language, right? An Asian language." And he was like, "No." He
Yabaseyo.
said, "Exactly. Yoba say yo,
Hmm.
pali pali. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Ajima, pali
Hmm.
pali. All right."
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so I didn't dismiss him. I didn't laugh at it. He was like, "No, this is ancient Hebrew." So I was like, "Let me do some research." And then I asked a couple of questions, and I got off the record answers. I'm like, "Okay, wait a minute. Let me." Okay, so before you know it, I'm like, I was trying to prove it wrong, but I got confirmation even from uh, the teachers. They gave me additional sources to look up.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I know people want to dismiss certain things because of certain behaviors of some, but for me, I don't agree with it. I believe that regardless, teach the truth. I'm not going to use a name or use a vocabulary just so that way it can make me separate from the rest of our brothers and sisters, especially
Oh, no.
knowing the truth. And that's why I'm not backing down from it. You probably notice it. I'm still going to say shalom, even though I don't knock anyone for saying any other things. But I'm like, long as you don't knock me, then I have to pull out my sources. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Absolutely. Well, I don't broad brush either. I just said, some of the guys on that are on the street because us as the people that we are already broad brushed. by the mainstream media and the like. And I don't have to go down that particular road because we all know that we're all the part of the same family. It's but you said the behavior of some, because some of the language that they use that I feel that is inappropriate, I don't want to hear it. And no, I'm not a babe in the woods. However, I prefer not to hear it, especially when I'm seeking the Most High and I'm trying to clean up my act in on every level and every facet. So I have my limitations with the type of language I want to hear. And when I reach out for a teacher, an instructor, a moray, a pastor, I want to feel that he is a spiritual teacher as well. And so that's what I look for. I want to, and to guide me. And you did that this evening with the resources that you gave. And so I'm interested in if you indeed give classes, and if you indeed have resources for me to purchase regarding to learn. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I call it the alphabet. To relearn the Paleo Hebrew. I mean, I have to start all over.
Yeah, and what I do in the lesson, I actually teach both
Oh, okay.
simultaneously.
Yes.
So you'll hear me go through the Israeli to get to a lot of it because they really going back over and have changed a lot of the a lot of the online sources to reflect this Israeli language. So I still teach the Israeli, but I make sure that I'm teaching ancient Hebrew to show the distinction between the two.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's on the Patreon account.
okay, well, that's what I do. And well, thank you so much. And I'm going to have to say thank you so much because I don't remember how to say it in Paleo because I'm
Yes,
still stuck on Toda Rabah, you know. And
yeah, it's
so
simply Thawada. That's just
Dawada.
simply
Yes.
Thawada. Yep.
Dawada.
Dawada.
What Dawada, well, Lila Tove, that's wrong too. Good evening, or that's everything I know is wrong.
Mm.
It's all right. I'll get it right. But I mean, I'm, I've been around. I'm what's known as an elder. Okay, so I'm in a hurry. I didn't have time to waste. You know, I'm trying to this. you know, my next birthday, I'll be 68 years old. So I'm in a hurry. I have to get this and get it now. I want to get it and learn how to speak it so I can communicate. So, okay, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Carol, as well, if you're there, and
Yes,
family,
sis.
if you can hear me. And I guess it's not Mishpachah either, huh? Oh my gosh,
Mashpaka.
Yes,
Mashpachah,
Mash Paka.
Paka.
Yep, Mash Paka.
Paka.
Mashpachah,
Yep,
Mashpachah.
Mosh.
Okay.
And the key is, you know how you say instead of saying Mosh Pa, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's still putting a U sound to it, but it's actually Mosh Paka. So you notice how I'm still saying
Mashpachah.
ah. So it'd be
Uh-huh.
Mosh Paka versus Mosh Paka, because that
Mashpachah.
is still a
Paka.
short U sound. So it'd be Mosh Paka.
Mashpachah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, Mashpachah. All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a great evening. I will be tuning in, and yeah, I really appreciate it so very, very much. I really, really do. Thank you so much. I have to go to work tomorrow, but I'm in California and I don't have to be at work until the afternoon. So I really appreciate you, Pastor Kelly and Carol, indeed. And Mashpaka, have a great evening. Thank you.
Fine. Appreciate it.
Blessing you, sister.
Appreciate it.
All righty.
All right, Brother Don, you
Shalom.
got the floor again. Did you resolve your issue, Brother Don?
Are you talking to me, Pastor Kelly?
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
he is.
You know. Oh, there you go. You got off your
Spaceship.
28K modem, huh?
No, 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 no. Let's go back to the scriptures. Let's go back to the scriptures. The prince of the power of the air. The prince of the
You
power
know
of the
you
air.
can't.
So we're changing up.
Atari. Atari 2600
Stop it.
doesn't have
Stop it.
modem
Stop it.
capabilities, right?
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
You got to stop trying to use your ColecoVision. You
Hey,
can't connect
listen.
it to the internet, man.
See, because you so wrong. Because I introduced my family. I was a young entrepreneur.
14 years old, I introduced my family to video games, and I brought the first video system into our house. It was called Pong.
I
And
remember that.
after that, I introduced the arcade to the family because see, I was an income producing youngster.
Yeah, but you cannot use
W2,
the big. You can't use the Commodore
stop it.
64.
Stop.
You
I'm
gotta
knock
stop
you
it, man.
upside your
You gotta
head.
stop it,
We're
man.
trying to see you. I'm
You
knock you
gotta get
upside
rid of
your
your
head.
286 computer, right? You gotta get rid of
I'm
that,
gonna
man.
knock you. Wait till I see you. I'm knock you upside your head.
With the big giant monitors that you gotta put on deodorant every time you carry one of them.
Man, just totally revamping the studio. We on a brand new phone,
Hmm.
which it's like transitioning completely off phones. So the other studios got the cameras and everything else. We don't the phones ain't even for the stream yards. We won't be using phones. It's just straightly this whole other system and whole studio. But the main focus is paying attention to what's going on and what's happening, um, where we are, and for us, it's not good. If we're paying attention, it's not good. What's coming down?
I got you. Hey,
So
any thoughts on the lesson tonight, or did you catch it all?
no, I mean I listened to it all. I listened to it
Okay.
all. I got sidetracked with the whole comments about the telecommunications. It was kind of like, okay, that's the focus now. So it's like, but no, it sidetracked me from the lesson. No, the lesson was really, really good, and I had comments on it, but the telecommunications sidetracked it and it circumvented all that. But you know, to the Most High be all the glory. Here's the deal. What I did glean is that things are wrapping up, and I don't know what other people believe, but for me and my house, we about to be out. That's just what it is. So I wish this telecommunications situation hadn't gotten in the way because I had some real strong thoughts on the message that you had tonight. But they got circumvented by the communication factors. But Prince of the Power of the Air, hey, one for you. But for everyone that listened to the message tonight, it was a very good message. I got sidetracked. I had a lot of thoughts on it, especially over the last couple nights. Because you've been bringing it. You have been bringing it. Last night tied in tonight to tonight. Um, and that's really my thoughts on it. Last night, tonight tied into last night. So keep it going. We get frustrated, and that's that's the enemy's job, man, is to frustrate us. Because it was like I really had some very strong thoughts about what you said tonight. And then, like I said, it was a very good word. I can go back and listen to it again, and I'll get, my points of reference back again. But kind of frustrating for me. It actually is kind of frustrating for me because you did your job. You absolutely did your job. You delivered it. Um, the points of reference you had were good, and I had other points of reference that I was like, yeah, that's right, that's right, that's exactly, this ties into the other points of reference that I had. So anyway, I love you, Pastor Kelly. Guess what? We ain't gonna have no problems going forward.
Absolutely. Oh, you finally got the issue resolved. The
Stop
feedback
it.
is given.
Stop it. Stop it. I'm a
you
mess with
change you, you
man.
change you change the
Hey, wait till you
batteries.
come out on the West Coast. Wait till you come out on the West Coast. I'm gonna poke you. I'm gonna poke you in your side. You're gonna be speaking. I'm gonna just poke you in your side. I love you, my brother.
All right, all right. Appreciate it, brother Don. Have a good one, and appreciate you jumping on.
All right, Pastor. I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
Shalom.
shalom. Sister Carol, any final words you want to give tonight? Because I know we've been on here for a little while. This is one of the lengthier lives I've done in a while. I've been trying to keep it within 2.5 hours at the max. But
Yeah,
any
went over.
words you want to share with the people?
Just stay prayed up, stay in the word. Um, Allow discernment to guide you. When you hear something that's not doesn't line up with your discernment, then you know that's not of the Most High. Um, Try to continue to learn and open your mind to learning more things in the Word that's being brought forward to you. These lessons that Pastor Kelly is giving you, I mean, he's pouring out um, information that you would have to pay for in school. I mean, his scholarship is at that level, and we should be thanking him for this information that he's dropping on us for free, basically. Um, and I just want to personally thank you for all the hard work that you put in. I mean, you work in your own job, and you come home and you do all this work just to pour out to us in a message, and we should be grateful that the Most High has implanted and imparted His Spirit upon you to send this message out to us. And we should grab a hold of this and continue to feed upon it and move forward with it. Never stop learning.
I
Never ever
appreciate
stop
it.
learning. Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
You
Appreciate it. Let me
deserve it.
say something real quick. Let me say something real quick. AG, I know you asked the question in the chat, but let's be respectful. I explained to you what a hire is, and I said I will get into in part two. I will explain it in its entirety. So let's not make posts inside the chat as if I gave you misinformation. You know, uh, so I want to make sure that because when I see the comments here about can you show me the Most High told Moses, this is not my name, but my title. I want to be clear. We have to be patient. Go back over the lesson that I just shared tonight. But I could say emphatically that when you see Ahaya, Ashar Ahaya, that's saying I am that I am. That's saying that I exist. And you see him still in the same text share his name of being Yahweh. Yahweh means exist. It means he exists.
Absolutely.
So it's in the same text because if that's the case, then we will see Ahaya all through the scriptures. We'll see Ahaya in the Messiah's name. So I just want to you know, give clarity on that. And let me see. I'm talking to Keith Dixon, who was being disrespectful earlier. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. So let's, and maybe and if I misread your comments, it's not done intentionally, but that's why we want to just be conscientious of what we post in the chat because it may be read different from what you're trying to, uh, relate over to whoever you're chatting with. Because when I see it from here, I don't see the entire thread. So if that's not where you were coming at as far as your intentions, my apologies. But just I will be teaching part two next Saturday night, and we'll go into. I'll give you full clarity on Ahaya. I will give you full clarity on Yahweh. I will give you full clarity on Yahweh Shai. I will give you full clarity on these names next week. So, but let's be respectful to one another. And again, I know that in family, when we start dealing with, you know, chat and texting and so forth, we know that sometimes it can give a tone that's not actually there. So let's keep that in mind as well. All right. So really appreciate it. But my apologies, sis. But yeah, anyone you want to throw in the garbage can as we get ready to wrap this up? Because yeah, we just went over 3 hours, and I definitely don't want to get to 3.5, 4 hours. You know what I mean?
No, I don't have anybody like to go in the trash can. We good right now.
All right. All right. Well, family, really appreciate the love and support. Thank everyone for their contributions tonight. And let's get those likes up. Let's make sure that if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, right? Let's make sure that we get those likes up to at least 200. We're at 150 right now, but hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you click on the notification button, right? Make sure you click on the notification button, and hopefully it doesn't get unchecked. But nevertheless, really appreciate everyone for the love and support. And with that being said, in the words of the Most High, as he gave these words to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, as he was dealing with a situation of the Egyptians coming to, catch up with them with the goal of bringing them back into slavery and to murder, kill some of them, take some of their lives. But they were threatened. It was at what appeared to be a dead end. So the Most High had to give Moses these words to give to the people. He said, "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, you will never have to deal with them again. They will not have power over you again. The Most High will fight for you." But here's the kicker, family. We have to hold our peace. The Hebrew word there is karash, which simply means be quiet. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.